Welcome to the Lakers weekend. I'm your host, Joe Soro. And yes, we are still discussing the Luka Doncic trade at the moment. I've somewhat backed down to earth. Uh, usually we're here at night, or we're starting to get into the evening time here. How you doing, Blue Magic? Good to see you guys. I know some of you have been messaging before we got on here. Ali, I'll go into more detail on your question about possibly getting other reinforcements here. Which, if the Lakers, I do feel that the Lakers are going to want to try to see if they can get a go at it in terms of this year. So if there's a deal out there to be made to possibly get a big and get maybe somebody that can also score, I think they're going to go after it. But definitely, I think they're going to get a big of substance. It's just a matter of what's worth a first round pick if that's indeed what they end up doing. So we'll delve into that. Stone Hansen will be here shortly. He's currently arriving home from his work. Yes, he works on Sundays, unfortunately. But I wanted to have him on here and get him to kind of give us an idea of his favorite player, basically, in terms of his stats. And while we wait, of course, we got Nick Molina here. Nick, welcome. It's been a while since you and I have been talking on the show. The crowd is hot and heavy here, and I think it's going to get pretty full here for a few hours. How you doing, brother?
Hey Joe, what's up? No, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I just wanted to mainly be here and kind of share in this momentous occasion for the Lakers franchise. I mean, seeing the news come in last night, obviously hearing your initial reactions and those around the Laker world or really sports world in general. I think a lot of us are still in disbelief, wondering how this happened, why it happened the way it did, and really why the package of AD, Christie, Jalen Hood-Schifino, a first round pick, and I guess like a second round pick got this done. I still don't understand why that got Luca to the Lakers.
Like most things recently, there's a conspiracy. We talked about this on our own little chat earlier today. This decision was likely made from above, not from Nico. Nico's the GM, folks, if you don't know. Nico Harrison. It's likely from management. I don't know if they looked at it from a number standpoint and the fact that Luca maybe didn't show enough dedication to his job. Now, I know we've discussed a couple things that we've not liked about Luca the last couple of years. That is, number one, his fitness, as well as his complaining to the refs. However, I had called out the stats of the last 7 years. No, 6 years. Sorry, this will be a seventh of Luca's career, and I think people forgot what he does. And will he clean up his quote unquote act, get into better shape? Some have said that LeBron will probably help him in that department. I don't see why that wouldn't be something of a possibility. Maybe he feels slighted a little bit. This is a very competitive guy, by the way. You can tell when he plays. He is very competitive. And you don't, not only did this trade be one of its first, which is two all NBA players being traded mid-season, but you rarely see a trade like this being done in conference. Now, not only did Dallas possibly hurt themselves in terms of their fan base, in terms of the culture there at Dallas with Luka, are they going to have to see Luka beat them 4 times a year and possibly have Luka eye them during the playoffs should they meet? It's a lot of storylines here. One thing that I will say outside a Laker, Maverick, or NBA observer type area is this really jump-started the NBA. This is the first thing this year that's put some life in the NBA. And I'm pretty sure that Adam Silver right now is going, whew, man, did we need this? Because now on the 25th of this month, the Lakers will meet Dallas, and that will be a primetime game. And we're all going to be looking forward to it. How everything else works out, it's all speculation at this point, although there is word that LeBron doesn't plan on going anywhere. He plans on staying put and obviously seeing what the Lakers can do here in the next few days until the deadline to see if there's a possibility of them getting any kind of player or players that could possibly allow them to continue to play well enough to get into the playoffs, possibly make a run. So yeah, we're all it's looking real good so far, at least in my eyes, because you got a 25-year-old. I had picked him to be the MVP this year. He's not going to get that this year due to his injury, but this is a guy that's been in his 6 full seasons before this season, made the All-NBA first team 5 times, Rookie of the Year, and won the scoring title last year, and also led his team to the finals in a year where they probably shouldn't have gone to the finals. So for those of you who have doubt, and a lot of doubt started and then slowly started to kind of dissipate, if you have any doubt, I would highly recommend you don't have doubt. This is a transcending player. We call a lot of players generational players. Generational player will depend on what you determine as a generation. Do you determine it every 25 years? Do you determine it every 15 years? Do you determine it every 10 years? Nick, if you had a response to that, what would be what do you consider a generation? And then I'll tell you what I think of it.
Yeah. So Joe, just to give you even an example here, and just speaking about Luca, right? A generational talent is someone like Luca, and I'll just give you a stat, and I'm sure you're aware of this. Luca's scoring average in the NBA is only behind Wilt Chamberlain's and Michael Jordan's. I mean, that should just tell you everything as far as Luca's talent, the impact he has on the game. We're just talking about scoring, right? But he also does make his teammates better. Just researching and listening to other podcasts and reading what other people have to say. I mean, Luca also elevates the game of, second round picks, players that have been undrafted. I don't expect them to make, Coloco a, solid rotational player, but, Coloco is going to get some lobs. He's going to get, assuming he stays on the team, and, Hayes as well. And, what does LeBron pairing up with Luca do for players like DFS, Connect, Vincent, Rui, if he stays, shooting from the outside? And, those players that are able to make their teammates better, not just, collect their individual stats. I mean, that's a generational talent in and of itself.
Yeah, what do you consider a generation? What block of years do you consider a generation?
I would say every 15 to 20 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So 15 to 20 years, generational is probably, it's looking like LeBron is that guy, obviously. Someone like Kobe who played 20 years. Most of the greats play usually in the teens. I think Magic kind of went into the teens sort of off-ended because he had to come back, and he only played 12 and a half years if you really count it the right way. I think I can roll with that. I always thought for the longest time 10 years was a generation, because we always set up things in increments of 10. Oh, the 90s, oh, the 2000s, and things like that. So, I think 15 might be a good number. I think 15 to 20, you're right, might be a good number. And the Lakers fandom needs to understand that the Lakers may have gotten someone that's going to lead this team for the next decade, and that's going to beat anything Anthony Davis is going to do, unfortunately. And we're going to talk more here because we have our guest from Tennessee, Mr. Stone Hansen. And Stone, you're the first guy I thought of when this deal was official. It took us about 15 minutes, probably about 15 minutes, maybe a little less. It just felt like 15 minutes of really coming to understanding that this was actually official, not a joke. And of course, as soon as it sunk in a little bit, I was still jacked up for about a couple hours, even on the show. I said, "Where the hell is Stone? Is he asleep?
I heard that.
Wake
I
his
listened.
ass up. Wake his ass up. Were you awake?
I was not.
You were asleep, right?
I was asleep.
So I want you to. I purposely text you to see if you'd see my text before you saw anything. So give us a play-by-play. You're asleep when this happens. What is the first thing that you do? What happened? The first thing you did, obviously, I'm talking about in terms of checking things in the real world. I don't want to know what you did. I don't know, brushing your teeth, whatever. What was the first thing you noticed as soon as you were able to?
Well, the first thing I actually did when I woke up was check my phone. And the first text I saw was from Joe Soro. And it said, I'll pull it up actually right now because I don't want to misquote you. It said, I got to go through. I had about 100 texts in the morning. It said, Stone, Luca is a Laker, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And the very first thing I thought when I saw that was Joe's messing with me because he's mad that I haven't been on any shows lately. I thought you were just yanking my chain and you're just trying to get me on a show or something. And then I saw about 50 texts this morning from different friends and people I podcast with, people I met in the basketball world. And it's like, congratulations. How do you feel about this? What are your thoughts on Luca in LA? And I thought it was a dream. So I turned my phone off and I went back to sleep for about like 10 or 15 minutes. And I woke up because I go to the bathroom and I looked back at my phone and I'm like, it's still there. All these texts are still there. I wasn't dreaming. And I couldn't believe the moment I woke up at 7 a.m. all day at work, still to right now, I haven't not had a smile on my face all day long. This is the happiest I've been. It feels surreal. And there's so much to this trade. I'm excited to talk. I don't know how much time you guys have, but I can talk for like 3 hours.
No. You, first of all, Nick, I'm excited. I got two of my favorite people here on this show. Gerald, I think is busy today. And I asked to do this because I wanted to talk to you. Nick was another bonus to come talk to both of you. I really want to talk to both of you as long as I can. It doesn't matter how long. Everything's cleared in terms of schedule. This is very important to talk about. It's very exciting.
Very exciting.
The reason why I was thinking about you this whole time was because this is the guy. This is your number one on your list guy, and I want everyone to know what's up. Like this is now that this miracle has happened. Why really now, and what is in store?
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. People will say there's tons of layers like an onion, but I think a more applicable analogy is like a tornado because there's tons of layers of wind, but it's constantly moving. There's tons that is still moving as we speak. So Luca, I might have said it on this show before. I think I've mentioned on episode Swings. I found out about Luca when he was like 14 years old. Some agent in Spain actually sent me in a grainy email footage of Luca playing in Real Madrid when he was 14. I'd never heard of Luca at that point. He was 14. So that was 2013, 2014, when I got that email. And I don't know how this person found me. To this day, I never have heard from this agent again. But I got this email footage of Luca playing basketball games. Like this kid's unbelievable. And shortly after that, I got access to being able to watch full games overseas, and I watched all the Real Madrid games that I could. And I thought, I'm like, this kid's a prodigy. This is the best basketball player I've ever seen as a prospect, because at that point I'd only been doing prospect stuff for a couple of years, but I was like, this is a generational type basketball prospect. And fast forward time, we all know what happens, and he comes in. In my opinion, he still has the talent to be the greatest basketball player of all time. Like that is the level of talent I view Luca as having. The only other player that I can say has a chance of doing that as well as Wemby, but like that's the type of, when I say generational, I mean like once in 50 to 100 years. Like this is the type of player that we're witnessing, and I think Luca has the talent to do that. Unfortunately, I don't think the Mavs throughout his entire career were able to put a roster that could really contend with him. I think they got to the finals because Luca was that good, not because his team was good enough to support him. Luca was just that good that he carried that team and willed them to the finals. And it's unbelievable. I've been a huge fan, like I said, since he was like 14, and to have him on my favorite team is like the absolute my sports dream come true. Like, this is as big as it gets for me. This is my championship. I don't even care if we win a championship this year, because I'm so stoked to have him. But there's tons of questions that, we'll ask throughout this episode, and as the days and weeks go by. But right now I'm just so excited, and we thought it was all going downhill with LeBron and AD, and now we have Luca to sort of be our savior as for the next, hopefully, decade.
Oh, man.
I don't drink champagne, but I have my celebratory beer.
That is great. That is great. It's like an early nightcap, but we're going to be here for a while, guys. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't give a shit. We're going to talk.
I'll go 24 hours if I have to.
We're going to talk until we finally get tired. I had my workout. I'm showered. I'm ready. It's a Sunday. There's no football. No real football anyways. It's the flag pussy ass, bitch ass fucking Pro Bowl that the NFL throws up every year now.
And no Lakers games. They gave us like a window for something to talk about between.
Absolutely. And I think that the cool thing too is this isn't going to take too long for Luca to get ready here. We're going to see Luca here in 6 days against the Indiana Pacers. So there's going to be a lot of.
Oh, did that come out? I missed that.
He was slated to play on the 8th of February, and that happens to be the Saturday game against the Pacers in LA. So we're going to get a chance to see Luca here with the boys, and I'm going to say we might have some new faces too by Thursday. Going to be interesting to see what happens there. We also have Sean Grice here sitting there like the Godfather. How cold is it over there, Sean? Is it pretty cold over there in Toronto? I would love to hear what you're saying if you weren't on mute. You want to mime it?
I guess that's it.
We'll come back to Sean. Sean was a little speechless there. But Nick, you've been sending some really cool stuff here on our chat. Hold on a second. Let me get Sean back in. Sean, I'm going to ask Nick a question.
Mime this.
I'm going to ask Nick a question and come back to you. Next, that's your punishment for not being ready. But Nick, so you've been sending a lot of good information here on our chats. Stone, you need to get on this chat. I know it's probably a nuisance, but all you got to do is put a mute on it. You don't want to listen to it.
What chat are we talking about?
We're on WhatsApp. It's a pretty good one. We have some good informative stuff.
I don't have WhatsApp, but I'll check it out.
It's free. It's like a derivative of Facebook, I think now. But Nick, so there's been an interesting response, and it's slowly starting to change. I'm talking more Laker people. Initially, I saw a lot of Laker people kind of divided. And then as they started hearing people like Stone and I and Sean, you, and normal, regular Laker fans understanding the concept of the future, you started seeing them change a little bit. And then I also noticed more and more, and this has not veered off in any way, I haven't seen one Maverick fan be happy about this. They're pulling out their pitchforks. They're wondering.
They literally had a coffin today outside of the Mavericks arena. I don't know if you saw it, and it said for Nico Harrison.
Wow. So what is the end game here? Because we discussed this yesterday. Every superstar that the Lakers acquire, either through trade or free agency, has won a championship in LA, whether it was Wilt, whether it was Kareem, whether it was Kobe, whether it was Shaq, Pau, LeBron, AD. The future is here. The future is now. The Lakers don't have to worry about a 6-year gap like they had in the 10s, where they had to keep losing to get draft picks. This is a jump start. All right, guys, if LeBron decides to hang him up, this year, if he hangs him up next year, doesn't matter. We got Luka for the next decade. What's your assessment on that, and how do you explain this to those who might not feel the same way?
Yeah, Joe. I mean, I think what this trade tells us or solidifies and crystallizes is that Lakers exceptionalism is real, and it's here to stay, at least for the next decade. So, we have a while to hopefully, knock on wood, Luca stays healthy to worry about a next like centerpiece for this franchise. But I wouldn't be happy if I was a Mavs fan, certainly. But I was actually thinking about it earlier today, and I'm thinking AD must be actually a very happy person today. Not only because I think he's going to get a chance to play the four with Dallas, but and this is not to disparage AD, and I welcome opposing thoughts, but like AD actually was probably ecstatic that he feels that he's worth a player swap with someone like Luka Doncic. I just find that incredible. And who knows, Joe, Sean, and Stone. Let's say Max Christie turns into like a Mikal Bridges or like a very solid player. Who knows if this trade looks really good for the Mavs or better in 2-3 years, but I just can't understand why they did this for the package that they did it for.
Well, amongst packages that a team needed to acquire a superstar, this is the weakest sauce out of them all. The weakest. The King, I know Stone is in and out with hockey, but that's cool. But when the Kings traded for Gretzky, the headline in the LA Times was they paid a King's ransom. And that's kind of, other than the Stanley Cups and the championship, that's where Luca is. I mean, Joe talked about a lot of the fans being divided. And Stone, I'm not sure if you saw that on social media either, but I don't really understand. I'm confounded by that attitude. We acquired one of the three best players in the world. I can only assume it's an unconscious bias. That's what I'm gonna boil it down to. I'm gonna be nice about it, and not say there's like an obvious Euro bias, even though I think there kind of is amongst like a certain group of fans. Well, all I'm gonna say is that if for whatever reason, if you dislike this trade, I from a basketball perspective, I don't want to hear an argument for it because it's absurd.
Yeah, the argument's going to be there because the moths are attracted to the flame.
Always.
The brighter the flame, so the flame. There's different types of flame here. Okay,
That's what I love now, because we're gonna get so many haters in here.
Well, there's already haters that they're already saying there's a conspiracy. I heard this already.
It's multiplying.
The last month with Roki Sasaki going to the Dodgers, all of a sudden you have Jim Bowden, that piece of shit, who got caught, by the way, in the '90s doing what he's accusing the Dodgers of doing. Like projection at its finest, right? Hilarious how that works. When you get your ass whooped, it's always been there. But it's more now because we've allowed weakness to kind of dominate strength. So there's always this reason. Oh, this person was rich. That's why they made it. This person is bigger. That's why they were able to win the fight. Oh, this person is faster. That's why they did this. Well, at what point did you see in the last few years where the Lakers were killing everybody? We were killing them and doing nothing. The thing is, there's a history here. There's a history.
Of course there is. That's why I was gonna send I was gonna post it in here because didn't get a chance yet. But do you remember that scene from Gladiator when they're walking through the tunnel and Maximus is just getting sprayed with blood?
Yeah.
And the other warrior says, "The gods favor you," right?
Right.
the gods favor the purple and gold, Joe. I mean, there's like there's no even if you want to go to the incomprehensible route of what the Mavs did, it's relevant because they traded him to the Lakers. They could have traded him anywhere. They traded him to the Lakers.
It's like a
and you're yes. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's like a rerun of the Gasol trade, and of course, coincidentally, it was the same date. It was the same thing. Why didn't Memphis ask anybody else? At that time, Chicago was the leading team to get him at that time, and Chicago was not necessarily where the Lakers were at the time, but they would have drafted Derrick Rose a year later, and they would have had who knows how that would have worked.
Well, and Nick, I want to reflect on what you were saying as well. I think I understand what you're saying about AD being flattered about being traded for Luca. I think it's more about it. Like it's obvious that Nico Harrison really loves Anthony Davis.
They were together with Nike, right?
Yeah,
they were.
And Kyrie as well. Is that correct?
I believe all three of those gentlemen have a previous relationship with one another.
Okay,
yes.
That's great. That's great. So there's a relationship there. That's probably a lot of the catalyst to this. Now, I want to ask Stone this question. Stone, do you feel like this was a Nico Harrison call or the Adelsons? And why?
Everything is pointing towards Nico Harrison at this point. I've never met that guy, so I don't want to say too much, but from what I know, from what I have heard, he's not the most likable person. I'll just leave it at that. And it seems as though nobody else in the Mavericks organization knew this was going to happen, which is just wild to me. It seems like he didn't call anybody else in the front office to tell them that we're moving Luka Doncic, probably the best player in the franchise's history. No disrespect to Dirk, but when you're talking about pure talent, I think Luka surpasses him. And to not even tell Luka beforehand. I mean, Luka, I don't know if everyone shared that screenshot of all his missed calls from Nico Harrison. But to not wait and make sure you have contact with Luka before you send him out, the franchise's best player ever, and just send him out, like, this is devastating for the Mavericks on multiple levels. I don't think free agents are going to take too kindly to how they just treated Luka and basically took him out of $120 million plus with that supermax plus whatever the taxes are in California. And generally speaking, when a player of Luka's caliber, especially, is 1 year away from being eligible to sign a supermax, the team will wait and make sure they can sign that supermax and then get into trade talks out of respect for that player and what they've done for that franchise. They didn't do that with Luka. Clearly, there's bad blood there. And to just spite him out of that much money, I think does not bode well for them in the future when it comes to free agency. The other thing seems like Jason Kidd had no idea. There's no communication with the coach or coaching staff about what was happening with their, the most vital piece of their coaching plans on a night-to-night basis. I don't think that bodes well for bringing in, new coaches when Jason Kidd eventually leaves, because he doesn't seem like he wants to be there much longer. So I think this is just devastating for that franchise on multitude of levels. The most immediate, obviously, being the fact that Luka Doncic is no longer on their roster. But when it comes, just to things outside of that, I think this is really going to come back to haunt them for a good chunk of time, because this does not seem like something Nico had really talked to anybody else about before he did it.
Stone, and sorry, Joe and Sean, just one quick comment off of what just Stone said. Part of what makes this devastating for the Dallas Mavericks is that, yeah, they have this generational talent, but they also had this generational talent that miraculously fell to them at the third pick, right? And then they have
Well, they made the trade with the Hawks.
yeah, that's
Nick.
yeah, with
The
the
Hawks
Trey Young,
drafted Luca, and the Mavs drafted Trey, and then they made the trade.
that's right, Sean. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
And Nick, here is the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, bro. Here's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Both Luca and Pau were drafted by the Hawks, and they ended up on the Lakers.
That's crazy.
Sean, I have another one for you. Klay Thompson turned down the Lakers to play with Luca, and now Luca's in LA.
Oh man, the NBA sports is brutal. It really is. It is a business. The question we have to ask ourselves.
But anyway, what I was gonna say is that, like, the way. So here's the thing, I was never in the category of I'm completely jaded and cynical, and I don't believe there's any way that a superstar was going to end up on the Lakers. Now, I didn't think it was plausible. Said it multiple times on this show. Me and Joe and Stone and others off air have had the similar conversations. Like, it's implausible. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's likely not really going to happen. That being said, you always crack that window open. I know Joe dislikes the word hope, but that's kind of where this whole thing came out of. Hope, because somehow Nico Harrison hoped that Rob Pelinka would pick up the phone, and when Pelinka was listening on that first conversation, right, gentlemen, put yourselves in that man's shoes. Yeah, so Rob, I'm looking to unload Luca, and you are my first call.
Yeah,
So
and Joe,
you would need to pause, like just as Joe is doing right now. You would hit mute, you would hit hold, you'd collect yourself.
yeah, and Sean, the just a surprising tidbit about that phone call. Apparently, according to Nico Harrison at today's press conference, it took place 4 weeks ago.
Yes, yes,
and it didn't leak.
I watched the press. Yeah, Nick.
The same way.
Well, see, Nick. Here's the thing. That's what's so adept, and I'll use the word adroit from The Sopranos. Tony Soprano is very adroit at protecting his two cousins. The rest of us forget about it. Anyway, that's what snake oil salesmen and all due respect, that this is what snake oil salesmen, car salesmen, really good ones can do. They can keep a lid on shit. And Rob's good at that. He played, Nick, remember as an agent when he played the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah.
He was representing Carlos Boozer, and Dan Gilbert thought that they had a deal. And then the Utah Jazz called up Rob Pelinka and offered Boozer the Brinks truck. And Pelinka pulled the rug out of Dan Gilbert's. So, I mean, he kept quiet about that too. So this guy's known for keeping a lid on stuff.
Randy,
the same thing with Kobe's deal. Does everybody remember when Kobe had the I think it was 387? The year after about 8 months after the championship. Do you remember that, Joe?
What was the question? Sorry,
when Kobe re-signed for 380 and 87. I think it was in 10. It was like a few months after the Celtics chip.
Was it after the Celtics chip?
The Orlando.
Yeah, it was after Orlando.
Yeah, it was after the Orlando chip. Yeah. And that he kept it. That was silent too, because nobody was really. I remember Ramona Shelburne was saying nobody was talking about this deal at all. It was kept very quiet. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it came out of nowhere.
yeah,
People were-
Pelinka's known for being stealth. Let's just give him that.
He's an attorney, Sean. He knows attorney-client
It's
privilege.
not just him. It's not just him. The Lakers were very quiet on the Paul Gasol thing. The same thing that's happening right now
It's not
happened then.
And it's not just that, Nick. It's you also have to give him credit for this as well. I mean, he did play with the Fab Four at Michigan. He understands a good locker room when he's in there and he sees what's going on. So it's not like he's immune or naive. I just like we were. He didn't have the resources, but yet he's a resourceful person. So yes, give him credit. Whether or not Nico Harrison called him up and just he lost his mind when he heard that I'm calling you about Luka Doncic, or there's no way. I don't believe in any way there's truth to Pelinka calling up Harrison about Luka Doncic and not being rebuked otherwise. It was the other way around. Harrison had to call Rob Pelinka. So, and I'm just going to say this and leave it at that, because this is what I believe after digesting all this. They weren't going to sign him to the Supermax. I think whatever conversations took place between Doncic's representatives and the Mavs is nobody's business, but it happened. And I'm sure his reps went to him and said, give us a list of 3 to 5 teams and we'll give him the list. That's how it had to go down, because they weren't just going to automatically trade him to us. But there were certain teams had already, Gerald, I'm going to use the phrase again, blown their wad already. The Knicks had already done that.
I don't think any of this is true. We don't know shit. We don't know shit how this came down. All the secret stuff they've been talking for 3 months. I don't believe anybody. I'd have to.
You know what the image I got? It was the mail carriers for the 1800s on the horses.
I want to know why were the Lakers so special in this deal, other than the fact that Nico has a relationship with Anthony Davis and he really wanted Anthony Davis. I think we're complicating this too much.
Yeah, and Joe, on that note, I'll actually even ask a more basic question. I don't think this would have been a deal breaker in anyone's mind, and correct me if I'm wrong. Why didn't the Mavs at least ask for the additional first round pick?
That is a great comment, Nick, because that's probably the biggest surprise in this deal, outside the fact that Dallas traded Luca. The only draft capital the Lakers use is 1 first round pick. I don't count the second round picks. I don't give a damn about the second round picks. 1. How many, Stone? How many did Gobert get? 5.
Mikal Bridges 5.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask Stone this. Stone, it's obvious that Sean's been reading a lot of stuff going on here, and he's got a pretty good idea on what might have happened here. I don't know necessarily if that's how it worked out, but since you've kind of been in the in and outs of the industry as a scout, why? It's got to be because Nico wanted Anthony Davis, right? That's the only thing that kind of connects.
So I'll say I have no more clarity than any of you on what actually happened, but from just people have talked to in the past and sort of the reading tea leaves on how I think things might have gone down. Nico seems to love AD. That seems to be very apparent. And Luca has long thought of the Lakers as a possible destination for a long-term future in his career. I never thought it would be. I never brought it up on this show because I never thought it would be possible, at least for the time being, with him on the Mavericks and having just been to the finals. Like I don't think ever really saw it as a possibility. You hear these things all the time. I mean, players have destinations they'd like to play in at some point in their career, and rarely does it happen. I know KD wanted to be in Brooklyn for a long time. I had known that a couple years before that happened. But outside of that, like you hear players want to play this place, but they never actually do. Beals wanted to play in Miami for a long time. Maybe that happens. But it seems like Luca really wanted to be in LA. Seems like Nico really liked AD, and it just created sort of this perfect storm of Nico believing Luca was not going to be there full for the long haul, and saying, let's just go for it now because like I believe Luca is a much better player than AD, and I think AD is an incredible player. I don't want to say anything bad about AD because some Lakers fans are treating him terribly online. I think that's ridiculous. He's been a fantastic player for us. Yes, he got injured, but he's kept this team above water because of his defense. But the Mavericks, I think, believe in AD as being a better fit for them because Luka's such a heliocentric player, and we'll get to how, at least I want to talk about how the Lakers build around that as this deadline and future off seasons. But they believe that AD is a better fit for them, and with the other pieces they have, they can build a contending team. I don't know why they didn't ask for more. I have no clarity on that. I don't know why they didn't ask other teams. Obviously, if they believe Luka wanted to be a Laker, they would ask the Lakers first. But I would imagine other teams would be willing to offer more, and picks and things. But it seems like they're just hell bent on contending, and they think AD's, at least Nico really believes in AD as that vital piece, and they believe they can get other pieces. I don't think the Mavericks are done before this trade deadline, for what it's worth. I think there's more to come from the Mavericks, and they're going to try and contend this year. But I don't have more clarity than any of you guys. That's sort of my take on things from things I have heard in the past.
Yeah, and Stone, sorry, just one quick comment. And I do believe that Nico Harrison loves AD, and they believe in him as a player, as a defensive centerpiece, or maybe a center for years to come, whether that's 3, 4, 5 years. But if they do believe that AD is a better fit for that team, why not trade Irving instead of Luca? But again, that's just something that I can't wrap my head around.
I don't think the Lakers would have.
Yeah, they wouldn't have taken Kyrie over.
And Nick, he won't be playing a lot of center for the Mavs. That's why the fit was there for him too. That's why he loves it, because when Derek Lively gets healthy again, he'll be the center. AD gets to play the 4, and I think Jason Kidd will be bending the knee for AD if he wants to play the 4 more, because they also have Daniel Gafford, whether or not they hold on to him. And Gerald, believe it or not, if they do trade one of those guys, you know who might have to play at least 5 to 8 minutes in the playoffs? You mentioned 3 of Dallas's 4 bigs last night, but you didn't mention the other guy. You're on mute, Gerald.
All right. Look, thank you for the super chat, Darren V. Stone, Darren had a question for you. Stone, will there be another move, a center, hopefully maybe connect for Kessler?
I believe there will be at least one more move. I don't think Connect will be a part of it, because I think Connect, all the wings and forwards the Lakers now have are more valuable to the roster than they have been for the past several years, because I'll just get into it now. I don't want to take too long because you guys.
No. Look, guys, you guys know how to work the game here. Just work the game. I'll try to be the MC here as much as I can. Stone, we got to get all the info because you're rarely available. So whatever you got to do what you got to do. will play off it. Sean will play off it. I'm sure he will. And then Nick, Nick as well. So just do your thing. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
I think the Lakers will make another move. I think the Lakers are targeting a center because it does not take a genius to realize that the Lakers now are more desperate than maybe ever in Lakers history for a center. I don't know if that's even hyperbole at this point. And I think all the wings and fours that the Lakers have are more valuable. Luca, much like LeBron, and Luca to an even greater extent, is the most heliocentric basketball player we have in the NBA. For those that don't know, that means a player who basically for anything to happen, the ball has to run through them offensively. Other guys like LaMelo and stuff do it too, but for the most part, Luca is like the heliocentric player in the NBA. And what that means is you need players that really fit and are stars in their roles rather than players that are of just the most talent that you can get. Like right now, if the Lakers had the opportunity to bring in De'Aaron Fox, or instead had the opportunity to bring in like a Nick Claxton and someone who's, a pretty decent wing, I would rather get Claxton in the decent wing, because you want Luka to have the ball as much as possible and make the rest of these guys stars, much like Jokic, right? Like Jokic, the reason his teammates are so good, not that they aren't talented, but Jokic elevates them to another level with his passing. Luka is very much the same way, except Luka is a better creator for himself. But this makes like Austin Reeves much more expendable. Connect is less expendable to me because he's really good catch and shoot shooter. Luka could get him in spots where he's a guy who can really, get to his spots. Doesn't take much for him to get the ball up. Doesn't take a lot of space. He doesn't need to handle the ball much. I think he's a great fit next to Luka. So I would prioritize keeping Connect more so than I would have with LeBron and AD. With that said, I think also like Rui, I would make Rui available because of the salary. It just makes sense. But in a vacuum, he's actually more valuable with Luka there now. DFS and Vando, they're more valuable now than they have been in years previous because you have more spacing with Luka instead of AD, and now you have a really elevated passing. And these guys are not high usage players. You want low usage players who affect the game. Vando is very good at that. DFS is very good at that. Connect hopefully will be very good at that. So I think you really have to look at trading Reeves. I think he's the odd man out. That's who you want to look at for a center. I love Reeves. I think Reeves is a great player, better than anybody I just mentioned as far as Lakers supporting players. But he is not needed for this team. You don't need his ball handling really. You don't need the usage that he gives you. He can help another team out more than he would help the Lakers out at this point in time. And if you could use him to get a center, and he's on a great contract, if you can use him to get a center and you have that first round pick, you have Rui. If you combine him with Rui, that's about $30 million in salary. You have Gabe Vincent, that can get you to about $23 million in salary. There's different ways to utilize him, but I would prioritize moving Reeves over Connect or most other wings in this specific scenario because those wings and forwards are more valuable being low usage shooters and defenders than they were previously with AD there. It's a different team build because you have a heliocentric player in Luka, and very much like LeBron in his prime, right? You want shooters, you want defenders. That's what you target. And going into this trade deadline, that is what I would prioritize.
Well, Gerald, thanks for being on. Again,
No worries.
I want Stone to get most of the airtime here again because
Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure he answered Darren's question, and I appreciate the super chat, Darren. We've got 150 here about watching. We truly appreciate you doing so. Obviously, people are very curious about what's going on with Luka. The reason why I put that up, Joe, is the guy on the right there. If you take a look at him, his name is Bill Ryder.
Mhm.
I've been watching the videos, 2 videos from him in the past, 12 or so hours since the trade has been consummated. This guy has been wrong about everything. In fact, to the point where LeBron James had to go on his own Twitter and call him an effing liar. And I'll just let you know that right now. If you see this guy has zero credibility. Okay, I could joke that he has less credibility than Rodell, but yes, he has zero credibility because he talked about how LeBron was organizing it and this and that, and LeBron hates AD and wanted him off the team, blah, 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 and all that stuff. Yeah, paraphrasing here, but yeah, still, that guy, absolutely worthless. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that Stone got a hold of the super chat, Darren, from Darren. Thank you so much. Again, you guys want to put in your super chats, greatly appreciate it. But please, if while you're here, if you like what you see, we're here over 300 days a year, right here talking Lakers. So please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And thanks so much. Yeah, I'll be listening. I'm right here, Joe.
Good,
So,
good.
great
Yeah,
talk.
I'm gonna make my turns.
I'm going to do
here.
a show later tonight for the Cosmos, a 1-hour flat show for our radio stations all around the world that I play it on. So I'm just going to do a 1-hour flat show later tonight. So yeah, I can get more in there anyways. No worries.
So I'm gonna ask both. I'm gonna ask Sean first, and then I'll go to Stone here. Sean, how do you respond to those who are saying, "Well, the Lakers don't have any defense now"?
Oh, okay. I thought he was asleep for a second. Oh my God, that was scaring me.
No, that's usually what happens when you're looking down.
No, we got some snarls still.
Okay, so but make it make sense. Again, I'm going to ask you and Stone this question. So right now, there's a digging going on. There's digging. Oh, well, just because people are naturally negative in their life, they live useless lives. They don't have any lives, so they have to always go to the negative, right? They always have to go to the bad parts of something. Why should we be concerned now that we don't have AD to man the paint? What we saw what the Lakers did, and I know Max Christie was a big part of that too against the Knicks, but what's going to be the transition there? How is Luka going to help so much to where that doesn't become as big of a problem as some think it might be?
Okay, so is that for me or Stone?
I'm asking you first, and then Stone's going to answer it after.
Okay, all
and
right.
then Gerald can answer it as well.
Okay, so y'all know I'm a big music fan, right? Okay,
What?
there are music
Grammys
fans,
going on right now, my friend.
like
I
huge
wasn't
music.
aware of that. I've gotten.
Oh yeah, I started playing the drums when I was 6.
Okay.
When I first heard "When the Levee Breaks" in my dad's truck, I bothered him for a week, nonstop, to buy me a set of drums, and he finally relented. Anyway, Luca is Mozart on the basketball court. He's reinvented how you play pick and roll basketball. He really has. In 2019, he played really fast, like really fast. And then the game slowed down for him. And as a result, his pace slowed down too. But he became a better player. And Stone can attest to this too, because he remembers that as well. The pace slowed down. He slowed down with the pace, and he became a more efficient basketball player. And when the game slows down for him, he's able to diffuse that. I'll use that word, diffuse that energy to the other 4 players on the court. He has an ability to do this. It's really cool. And that being said, like Stone was saying, he's going to be able to put guys in spots that they love quicker than most players can. His processing is elite. His passing is elite. His awareness is elite. There's not one thing that he doesn't do processing the ball in his hands that's not elite. So that's going to naturally help everybody on the floor.
Stone?
Yeah, I want to answer your question. I want to just sort of branch off of what Sean just said. There is very few players, and as elite as some are, they don't meet this criteria for me. There's Dr. J is one, I would say. There's a couple others, I'm sure, but Dr. J really comes to mind, and then Luca, where I would not define them as athletes. I would define them as artists. When you watch them, they are artistic with the ball in their hands on the court. When I think of Luca, everyone's going to say a basketball player, an athlete, which he is. But I think when you're doing things at the level he does, I view it more as artistic. Like he artistically plays basketball. And I think at the highest, purest form of basketball, that's, for me at least, the most enjoyment I can get out of watching basketball is when someone turns the sport into an art. And I think Luca is one of the very few in history that does that. That's not to say there's better players historically than Luca, but I think when you watch him play basketball, it's like watching him creating art. So I think that's just a very poignant point that Sean brought up. But as far as what the Lakers do now with their center situation, I'm not going to say that we are like this is a solve all. It is the solve all long term, but for today, we are undeniably much worse defensively than we were, before that Knicks game. We lost a top 3 defender, however you want to define them, as 1, 2, or 3, in AD. Luka's not, and people I think harp on Luka way too much for his defense. I don't think Luka's a good defender. I don't think Luka is a generationally bad defender either. I think Luka is a subpar defender. I don't think he's atrocious. I don't think he's average. I think he's kind of in between that as like a subpar defender. But I think the Lakers have a lot of pressure to get a center. I don't think the Lakers have to do it this year. I would like the Lakers to do it this year. I think all of us would. I think we would like to see the Lakers make a run for a championship, but you don't have to now because Luka is 25 years old. It extends your window. It extends your timeline. I don't expect the Lakers to put the ideal roster around Luka in 4 days, 3.5 now at this point. Like, I don't expect that, but it would be great if it happened. I'm not going to, hope it doesn't happen. I don't expect that to happen in that quick amount of time. The Lakers have been struggling as rim protectors when AD sits. It's no secret that AD is our only rim protector. He's a great one, and without him there, we're going to really struggle. The Lakers have to find one. Walker Kessler is not the answer. I'll get to that in a bit. I know a lot of Laker fans want him. If the Lakers wanted him, I feel like he would have been a part of this 3-team deal. I don't think Kessler is super realistic because he wasn't a part of this deal. But apart from that, he's just not the answer to me. But the Lakers do need center help. They do need a rim protector, and they need multiple. I don't think it stops at one. I think they should try and get a second one and see how that goes. But this is not a perfect roster around Luka. They have to still do that. The Mavs couldn't do that in 7 years. I think the Lakers have to prove that they can do that. But the first step is getting your superstar for the future, and the Lakers did that.
So, Gerald, I have a question kind of tailing off from what Sean and Stone said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I wanted to hear from you guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
You all agree that AD was never, ever really a number one, an alpha. And he played an alpha in New Orleans and maybe in spurts in LA, but was he ever an alpha, a true alpha?
He never wanted to.
He needed a running mate. He always did.
Okay, so that means no. So now, is it safe to say that the Lakers acquired a true alpha?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so right there, folks, already makes this trade an LA favorite. And not only that, this is a man that controls the ball.
But I want to disagree with Stone. I think the time is now for the Lakers to go ahead and hit it because LeBron. Now we're talking about Luca. I'm talking about LeBron. While you still have him at this physical, I don't want to say peak for lack of a better term, but you've seen how he can still light it up at his age. We saw what he did last night at MSG. You can't at this point in time, you need to go ahead, and I think you have only one first round draft pick left, Joe. You mentioned last night Jonathan Isaac. I would be interested in an Orlando package if you included Goga and if you could get Anthony Black in the deal. I had to do a little bit of figuring out. You'd have to go ahead and move to it, get a third team involved if you did that. But if not, you could do Gary Harris straight up for Rui, of course, AR and Gabe Vincent, if they're willing to go with that, and then you throw the number one in there. But I think the time is now for the Lakers. Nick Claxton, I'm not enamored with. 50% from the free throw line is not going to do it. Plus, also as well, he's just not. His lower body is just not strong. For instance, Jokic would absolutely destroy him in the paint, and Day'Ron Sharp is 6'9". So I don't know how that's like a power forward in the center's body. So I don't really know if those two guys are really going to move the needle or be the big guys that we actually need. I think what Joe had said with Jonathan Isaac as a 6'11" perimeter guy that can actually guard out the perimeter, even with his knee issues that he's had over the years, still block shots, plus get a big guy with a big body like Goga Batazzi on the side. And then, like I said, if you could finagle Black somehow in this, that would be probably someone I'd lead to over that, because again, the defenders in Orlando have proven by all season long that they are a great defensive team, and those two guys have been integral into it. The thing is, they need offense, and so they would probably be receptive to an offer of Rui and AR, Joe.
Very, very good. Thank you, Logan, for the super chat. The NBA just crowned Luka the face of the league. I don't think we're that far off at this point.
No, he is. He is. He's on the Lakers now. He is the face of the league. The league wanted it. You wanted a face after LeBron. Here it is. He plays for the LA Lakers.
Yeah, and I think now the Lakers have Slovenia in their pocket. Much like Otani has Japan.
You know what? He's still got the 2 titles, but we've got the best Slovenian basketball player ever. Sorry, Sasha. Love you, Sasha.
Sasha Vujicic, right? That's what I was thinking.
Hold on, Sasha.
Yeah, go ahead and paint your
eyebrows. Hey, wipe those eyebrows. Get ready.
It took play for the Los Angeles Lakers, Gerald, but he got introduced to Maria Sharapova and got in there.
Hold on. I got to be due to my Sasha. Yeah, come on, Kobe. Give me the attention, Kobe. Yes, Kobe. He was just begging for that attention after he hit those free throws.
Oh, big time. That's why I think Kobe was more have an affinity for Shannon Brown than Sasha, and Shannon took his spot. So
no more Dwight. Please stop with the Dwight Howard. Please just stop. Stop with Dwight.
We don't need that.
Let him go dancing with the stars. Let him dance with the stars. Go ahead, Sean.
And dance with, with.
Good God.
Yeah,
dance things.
Yeah. But yes, no to Dwight.
I don't understand.
I think it's look. There are several different possibilities. Miles Turner isn't one of them, but Jalen Smith is. Jalen Smith is an unrestricted free agent next year. I doubt Indiana wants to keep him, so that's an option. Rashawn Holmes is an option. Vooch is an option. Pirtle is an option.
Holmes hasn't been good for years, Sean. You can't get him on a buyout.
Yeah, I know, Gerald. But regardless, I'm just saying the guy I would really love, who I think would fit like a glove, is Isaiah Stewart. If Detroit was willing to part with Isaiah Stewart, And I know LeBron's in that locker room, but Isaiah Stewart brings a lot of grit and toughness out on the floor. I think you need that with Luka on the floor, Joe.
Yeah, but they need first a legitimate big, someone that could force some things here. But I'm gonna come out on this so that everybody understands where my head is on this.
I thought Stone left because he was pissed at me because I thought.
No, Stone left because he had to piss. No.
At this point, honestly, guys, the Lakers kind of have a window here where I'm not gonna probably judge them too much on what
the window went from this to this.
It went from this.
Yeah.
To this.
Yeah, it did. And I am fully aware that the Lakers.
This was like if you were in an avalanche, ladies and gentlemen. As a sports fan, I just want to give everybody an analogy here. Since I'm from the
Well, just basically, Sean, I'll just say this, and then I'll turn over to you and Joe and Stone. It's like, okay, we had to squint real hard, Sean, to find a pathway, Sean, for this team to get to the championship with AD and LeBron in its current makeup this year. We were squinting very hard, and most of us were saying it's just not there. I know a lot of people were asking us, begging us, please, you guys got to find a way to, there is a way, and we're just saying it day after day. No, there's really no realistic chance for this team to win a championship this year in its current makeup. Well, now the current makeup is altogether different. They brought in a dynamic player that is at this peak, is one of the top 5 players in the league. And alongside him, you have LeBron. By the way, still averaging, I know, again, he has his faults. I get that. As Darren, Rodell, everybody reminds us every day about LeBron. But still, you have someone like you saw last night at MSG who could turn it on and still do a damn good job out there when he wants to. So you have now, like you guys said, from something, in my opinion, was pretty much closed to something that's much more wide open, Sean. So I'll just
Joe. I'm just waiting for the Undertaker coming out of the coffin, gifts coming, or Pelinka's face coming out of the coffin with Luca. I can't wait for those to start coming. But yeah,
the only thing I want to know is because he was approached by Dallas on this, right, Sean? I'm gonna trust Shams on this because Shams the one that first dropped this report.
Yeah,
he's also the one.
Yes, Joe. And
I want to see when he was driving along on the freeway. Sean, he was probably on the 101, and Nico calls him. Hey, bud. You guys interested in possibly getting Luca? I can see him driving off the road after that when he gets that call. So
Gerald, if I was drinking coffee or something, I'd be worried I'd be having an accident or something. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
That being said, Gerald, now the onus is on McMenamin or Trudell or Shelburne or Windhorse to ask him point blank. Nico called you, right? Because that's what Shams reported, that Nico called you. That's it.
Does it really matter?
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Well, the only thing is, okay, well, actually,
none of this matters.
Let me say this.
It does.
Well, let me say this, Joe, from this point. Let me just say this from this point. It does matter because he was given the gift. It dropped in his lap. Luca dropped in his lap. Now it's up to him to build a team. I mean, we have been hard on Rob for years now. He got the deal done when it was dropped in his lap, so credit him for that. But he now has to build a team, whether he wants to build it this year, which I'm hoping he will, or in the following years. He needs now, the onus is now more on him than ever to build a team that's going to win a championship ASAP.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead, Stone.
I do want to respond quickly to Gerald, where I don't disagree the Lakers should go for it. I don't think the Lakers should rush into anything to go for it. I don't think they should be short-sighted in going for it because
they don't have much left to be short-sighted with, though.
I think you do. I think.
Hold on, no, I don't think that's true, Gerald. This
Yeah,
is
they
not.
don't have any assets. Assets wise, they don't have much.
They've set this up for the next decade. We got to let
I
this play
understand
out.
with Luca, but I'm talking about the assets that they have. They don't have much in the way of
They're going to
assets
get.
left.
Go ahead, Sloan. Explain it.
I think you have Reeves, who's on a really desired contract. I think you have Rui, who is very movable at his contract. I wouldn't say he's super desired, but he's a salary that isn't a negative for a lot of teams at 18 million. I think you have Vincent. The way I put this out on Twitter, I would try and package Rui and Reeves together. I think that's a pretty
That's what I just said.
enticing package for a lot of teams. That gets you about 30 million in salary, and then I would try and put together Vincent and Kleber. That gets you about 22 million, and then
I think Kleber can only be traded by himself. I believe.
Oh, is that the case?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He can only be traded by himself.
Even still, though,
I think another person one swap.
Yeah, I mean, even still, though, I think you have Vincent in that first can get you a pretty interesting role player or guy on a rookie scale contract who's maybe not working out, and you add him to that, to a first. That's some value there. I'm not expecting the world for one first round pick in 31, which probably has less value now than it did before this trade. And Vincent, but I think you can get a decent role player with that. So I think if you did that in a really strong center, I'm talking about players above the level of Robert Williams, above the level of Jonathan Isaac, both of which I like really a lot. But if you can get a player that's making $25 to $30 million, and then a decent role player with that other package, I think you're in a pretty decent spot. I just don't think you have to rush into moving that 31 pick for the first center that comes around. Like, I would not move that 31 pick for Walker Kessler if he were to become available. I don't think he is because it was in that trade. But I wouldn't rush into things because you now have a longer window. Obviously, you don't have LeBron for the next 10 years, but when LeBron leaves, that salary can be used for someone else to get. That's pretty valuable. I don't think your window is gone once LeBron retires, so I wouldn't rush into keeping that window as open as possible with LeBron here. I would like them to do a move that makes sense for both now and the future, if possible. I just don't expect that within the next 4 days. And that's not to say it can't happen or won't happen, because none of us saw this coming. But I don't think the Lakers should jump at the first opportunity they get, a la Russell Westbrook, at a star player or something, just to try and do it this year. I think long-term perspective is more valuable now that your window is longer than it was with AD.
I have to be, I agree with Gerald and Stone. They both make compelling points about competing for this year because of the LeBron situation and looking at the long term and not rushing into anything. If another move's going to be made, it's going to be more of a basketball trade where both teams try and end up benefiting from it. So, as an example, just salary for salary wise, right? Gerald, if I was Rob Pelinka right now, I would pick up the phone, I would call the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I said, I will trade you Austin Reeves for Naz Reid straight up.
That would be fair. I mean, I would like that. I'm not sure if they would.
That's a really good basketball trade. Both teams end up getting a really good player. They both end up getting something they need. Or as an example, another one. I know Stone's. This may not tickle Stone's fancy like long term, but this year anyway. If you ended up say trading a Rui for I don't know, somebody like a Zach Collins. Like Zach Collins has really turned his game around a lot. That would be another basketball trade. I think Pelinka and the Lakers are going to have to find a team that really covets one of their players and they also are willing to expend a valuable piece that the Lakers need. That's what's going to end up getting the Lakers a really good center. Not playing the tag game back and forth. It's going to have to be very quick.
Stone, anything to add on that, or Joe?
Not really. No, I think the biggest issue the Lakers are facing right now when it comes to trading for the now and planning for the future is the supply and demand issue of centers. I don't think there's
Not a
very
lot.
much a supply of really high caliber centers in the league that are available. And when one does become available, the demand is going to be pretty high. You're going to be facing a pretty steep price, I think, for centers. And this is without factoring AD being traded for Luca. A lot of people are throwing out Miles Turner. I'd love Miles Turner as a Laker, but with Luca, I think he makes a ton of sense. I don't think it makes a ton of sense for the Pacers to trade him. The Pacers, unless they were to blow it up, which I don't really see happening, they don't really have any incentive to move him. They don't have any centers behind Miles. The Lakers have no centers to give back to Indiana to replace Miles. It doesn't make roster sense for them to trade him. Claxton for me is the one that kind of makes sense. And I think the key with getting a center for the Lakers, people are throwing out rim runner without really knowing kind of what that means for the Lakers. You want a low usage player for the Lakers because you want Luca and LeBron to have the ball in their hands a lot. You want a low usage player who can be a lob threat, but you also want a player who can switch because when LeBron and Luca go into the pick and roll, they're going to get abused. Let's call a spade a spade. They're not good pick and roll defenders at this point in time. And you need a center who is willing or is good at, I should say, filling that space, that in-between space between the ball handler and the rim, who could come up and if they need to switch down to the rim to protect the rim. I think Claxton is the best probable available center at doing that at this point in time. I think he's having a down year, but he's got really no motivation to have a good year when you're on a team that's one of the worst in the league that doesn't really have a future. I think if you could move Rui in that first, that would entice me a lot. I think you want a player that can really be comfortable in that in-between space with the rim and the ball handler, and I don't think Walker Kessler is very good at that. I don't think a lot of these rim runners, I don't think Clint Capella at his age anymore is very good at that. There's a lot of centers people are throwing out there that are rim runners, but don't make sense when you look a little further into it.
The Lakers are going to have to make a
The thing
decision on whether they want to
is,
use.
though, when Joe it said reached out, and I'm going to give Joe credit.
Well, there's some weirdness unfolding right now.
Yeah.
Joe has vanished. I'm not sure he's wormhole. We all got sucked into that wormhole. Thanks, Gerald.
So we all got pulled out.
I heard Gerald talking like this, and I wanted to credit too.
Yep, I
Joe.
heard that too. Yeah, he made some good points. But I think
it was like listening to the drive-through in Wayne's World.
I'm
So
about to
what-
watch that for the first time in my life
Oh man, you're gonna
this
love
week.
it. So where did Jared leave off? Sorry,
He didn't really get going, to be
He
honest.
wanted to give you credit for something.
Yeah,
and
I said I
just
got to give
trailed
credit to
off.
Joe.
okay.
I gotta give credit to
When
Joe.
when he gets back, we'll go through that. Stone, go ahead and
Oh
finish.
yeah, you're gonna love him kissing your ass.
No, that you like kissing your own ass.
I think we have to aim higher. I don't blame Lakers fans because we've been in this situation for the past several years now of throwing out these backup big names, and there's not a big supply of centers, so people are throwing out Kelly Olynyk, or I saw in the chat, or other names that are more backup bigs. I think we got to aim higher as Lakers fans. We have Luka Doncic on our team. We should aim for starting center caliber players. We've been
Yep.
searching for a backup when we had AD. It made sense at that time because we had AD. We don't have AD now. I think we need to aim higher than Isaiah Stewart, than Kelly Olynyk. We need to aim for like actual center, starting center, good starting center, quality players. Jakob Pertl is another name I'd be pretty interested in. Like that's a really solid quality center. I think we have to aim higher with the names we're throwing out there. Just to hit back on Miles Turner real quick, because there's so much smoke there that I think there's some small percentage it may happen. I just don't view it as likely. But Luka just got traded to the Lakers, so who knows what is likely anymore. But Miles would fit perfectly because I think you could have a guy who can space the floor, who's low usage. He's not a great rebounder, but you have probably the two best rebounding non-bigs in the league with LeBron and Luca. And you can play Vando, who I think would be really a huge bonus for this team in that specific lineup because you can have that one non-spacer on the court since Miles can shoot it, and he's a great rebounder as well, great perimeter defender, and then hopefully another wing, maybe DFS. So I think that's a really good lineup for the Lakers that could probably contend if you were to get Miles Turner, but I just don't view him as super realistic. But my point
What
still
about
stands.
again what about what Joe was saying in regards to the Orlando with Jonathan Isaac? And I said I added on Goga Batazzi to bring big guys to the Lakers.
Yeah, I've liked Isaac for a long time. I'd be a big fan of bringing Isaac in. He's very switchable, a player I'd trade Rui for Isaac straight up across if the Magic are willing to do that. As far as like Ant Black, I don't think he's real touchable for the Magic at this point. I think they love him from what I've heard, but and I think you're probably going to get one of those three centers from the Magic with Wendell, Goga, and Isaac. Mo Wagner's hurt right now, but obviously they're not going to trade him because he's Franz's brother. But I think you get really a crack at one of those three. I'd really prioritize Isaac and then possibly Wendell and then Goga. If it were up to me, that's sort of the prioritization order I'd have between those three. But I'd be happy with any of those three. I think Isaac makes a lot of sense. Like I had mentioned, you really want a big who can cover that in between ground in the pick and roll with the ball handler and protect the rim. Isaac is really great at that, much like Nick Claxton. Like I think Miles Turner is good at that. You want players that can really do that when you have LeBron James and Luka Doncic handling the ball a lot and defending the ball handler a lot. And I think those guys make a lot of sense. I don't think Goga is as good as Wendell is at it. And I think Wendell makes a lot of sense in terms of like a passing big with this roster. But I'd over both those guys, I'd prioritize Isaac for sure. And I'd try and move Rui just straight across. I think Rui is more valuable to this team than he was when AD was on it, but he's the most expendable wing or forward that we currently roster at this point. And I think there's going to be less playing time for him now that we have Luca on this team too. So I think him and AR are really going to be the two trade chips that are worth something to other teams. that are expendable for the Lakers. And I think both those guys have value across the league. If you pair them together, that's $30 million salary. That gets you a pretty good player. Hopefully, not DeAndre Ayton, but it gets you a pretty good player if you want to do them individually and add a pick to one of them. Like, I think there's ways to go about getting a good player, but aim higher than the Isaiah Stewarts and Kelly Olynyk's of the world. Aim for a starting center, not a backup that you hope becomes a starter.
It's a lot to digest. You give up your depth for maybe a run here with Luca, LeBron, and whomever you bring in at the big position. But I'm not going to look at this. I'm honestly not going to look at the rest of the way as a barometer to anything. I'm just not. I'm still in amazement that the Lakers were able to make this work, and it might take another year for this to get figured out. And who knows what happens this summer. Richard, I owe the Lakers an apology. They said they wouldn't trade our first round picks unless it was big. This is a huge and secures our future to do things Lakers can help Luca with his regime. Maybe Laker greats help. I think that's Rob said it, and I heard him with my own ears, and or at least from the article, read it with my own eyes, I should say. I just didn't think it would be Luca. that was going to happen. I'm so happy right now that this happened. And
so are we, because you were prattling on about, oh, I'm glad baseball season is coming up and I could talk about the Dodgers.
I'm so glad about that. Now we could be happy as all LA fans.
Yeah.
What Jeannie
can be happy.
Yeah, what Jeannie and Rob did was
the Rams aren't completely
terrible
let me finish? Either. No, not really. No.
Rob and Jeannie said, hold on, let me see if I have a soundbite for this. No, I don't have a screeching tire. Rob and Jeannie, I'm making this up obviously, but they essentially said in this trade, this is still the Lakers.
Is it? Yeah, whose
stereo is that? Is that you, Sean?
Is it?
You jackass.
Sean, yeah. Don't cost me the this one, please.
All right, Logan, another super chat. Thank you again, Logan. Been watching Luca for a while. Luca can take advantage. Can take an average center and make them good, great. He makes everyone him better, and we don't need a star center. So I always remember the playoff series against New Orleans when Chris Paul was in his prime. The Lakers played New Orleans in the first round. This is in 2011 before they got swept by Dallas. You know who the star big in that series was?
David West.
Aaron Gray.
Aaron Gray.
Aaron Gray looked like
ugliest haircut of all time.
Aaron Gray looked like Karl Malone in that series from all the pick and rolls that Chris Paul and him were doing.
Yeah, physically too.
I couldn't tell him apart. This was a dude who could have landed a role in Encino Man. With the hair. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that hair was. He was Justin Bieber before Justin Bieber. I want to respond to a couple things in the chat real quick. I agree. Luka can make an average center look really great. You can do that with any teammate. I didn't say you need a star center. I don't think you need an all-star. I don't think you need a Miles Turner. I think you need a good center, though. I don't think the Lakers can contend with Kelly Olynyk as the starting center.
Here we go. Another one, guys. Here we go. Another major deal right now. Let me go ahead and pop it on the screen.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to leave you guys in suspense. Don't look at your phones. All right. Here we go. Drum roll, please.
I feel like you're pulling our chain here.
Oh, wow. Rashad once again.
Interesting.
Here we go. Here we go. De'Aaron Fox is headed to the San Antonio
Spurs. That's a 3-team deal.
Yeah. Zach LaVine.
The Kings.
Yes.
King's going to king there.
There you go. Absolutely. So that's
Yeah,
the
that's-
latest.
So who gets rerouted to Chicago, Gerald?
We'll
That's the
find out. He
question.
hasn't put up all
It's
the
got to be
specific
Keldon,
yet.
I would think.
Yeah, Keldon Johnson, I would say.
But Shams strikes again, guys. I'm telling
Well,
you
he's
guys.
the only newsbreaker in the game now.
Since Woj
yes.
decided to take over the basketball program at St.
Yes.
Bonaventure University.
I just want to finish.
Mike,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Mike Anguilano and Legend, hit me up. We'll go ahead and bring you on to the show. Go ahead and do some NBA observations before the trade deadline. Go ahead, Stone. My friend. Sorry.
We no, you're good. We don't need a star, but I think we need a good center. Like Daniel Gafford was a good center who was made a star in his role by Luca. Like I think you need a baseline of talent there. I don't think Kelly Olynyk or Isaiah Stewart really fills that for me. But absolutely, that's a good point. Like Luca can make a good player much better. I think you need to start with a good player as the baseline. I would say someone else asked me about Capella. I mentioned him earlier. Like I don't think Capella is great anymore at filling that space between the ball handler and the rim as a defender at the same level he used to. Someone asked about where was that? Sorry, somebody asked about another center who I can't find right now. But my point is, it doesn't have to be an all-star. You don't have to have an all-NBA center, but aim higher than the backup centers that we've been throwing out there for the past few years to get behind AD. Like we no longer need a backup center. We probably do actually, but we need a starting center as a higher priority here. And as far as the trade that just happened right now, this is not nearly as big as the Luka trade, but the Spurs, this guarantees Wemby's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future, I think. And the Spurs are, going to be looking to get into the play-in probably. The Kings will get worse.
Do you think the Luka trade might have facilitated the speed on this trade?
Yes.
Stone?
I don't think so. I don't think so because I think with how long ago Shams had reported that De'Aaron wanted out, teams had plenty of time to get a deal done. And I think that if the Luka trade hadn't taken place, teams would sort of already be at the stage of talking about finalization of deals because of the amount of time they had been talking when Fox was made available to the rest of the league. But it might have. I mean, it might. Who's to say? I'm speculating at this point. I don't even really know what's up or down anymore after the fact that the Lakers got Luka. So everything at this point is sort of a guess. Yeah, it's still so surreal to me. I'm still in shock.
Yeah, it's been.
Joe, did you want to answer the question from Richard?
I got a question for the chat. Do you think Luka, his conditioning is going to be a problem? Can our organization change that with Luka?
Because you were very adamant about it last night. I want to hear your thoughts. You've had
so
some time
the conditioning part, because Luka's a competitor, I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to. Sorry, Gerald. Okay. What's going on here?
No, I was clicking the same button you were. No worries. Go ahead, my friend. I just put the stone up.
Don't you see the little red button?
So the conditioning
red button.
So the condition, suck my red button. The conditioning part. I'm wondering
if your button's red.
I'm wondering if you're gonna shut the hell up so I can talk. Good. That's what I want to hear. Nothing. The issue with his fitness will be, again, sit on it. Is LeBron going to sit with Luka and say, listen, I plan on playing here another couple more years. We can go after this. Because LeBron wanted to play with Luka for years here. This is not a bad thing for LeBron. If he's sitting with his wife or someone close to him, he's like, my God, I never thought this could happen. I loved AD, but this is Luka Doncic, man. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? So does LeBron influence? Is the competitive side of Luka Doncic going to now go, oh, so you not only traded me for one first-round pick. I know Anthony Davis is good, but he's going to feel maybe slighted. And now, being the competitive guy as he is he going to want to bust these guys up? The fact that they traded in conference, that's very rare in itself as well. Usually a star like Luka, those guys get traded away from their conference. Luka's going to be seeing Dallas 4 times a year and possibly in the playoffs for another 4 to 7 here in the next few years. It's going to be an interesting storyline. It's going to be very interesting in how that plays out and how it mentally gets Luka in the game. Is Luka going to use this as fuel? Is he the kind of guy that needs that kind of motivation? See, the thing is, the results, despite his complaining to the refs, despite his quote-unquote weight issues, this guy in 6 seasons, I'm not counting this season yet, in 6 seasons, he's been a first-team All-NBA player 5 times. And the year he didn't make it was his rookie year. This guy has had a perfect career already. So what are we supposed to say now? What are we supposed to say? Well, he's going to run out of gas by the time he's 30. Who gives a shit? That's 5 years from now. What exactly is going to be the problem here? I believe the only problem is, can the Lakers put together a team so he can be a perennial title contender? That's the only thing I'm thinking about right now. And I'm well aware that it might not happen this year. And I don't care, because the Lakers were not going to win the title as it was anyways. But what they did do is they guaranteed not to have to rebuild. And in the NBA, rebuilding usually looks like what the Sacramento Kings are about to do here again for another 5 to 10 years. Yes, I know the Kings are not the same as the Lakers, but I saw with my own eyes for 6 seasons ineptness, horrid basketball, and I don't want to ever see that again, even if it means sacrificing not only this year, but maybe a little bit of next year. Because I know for sure summer of 2026, Lakers are going to do something if that's what it takes. And I'm using that as the date is because I believe at this moment, I don't know what to believe anymore, but I'm just going to guess at this point that might be LeBron's last season is next year. And that's all it is. I can't say anything anymore. In a billion years, never in a million years would have thought Dallas would have done this. When Cuban was in power, for sure. With these new owners, I didn't know if Cuban still had an influence. I didn't know if these guys had a different agenda. I don't know these people. And of course, all the casino talk, and then of course Dallas moving to Vegas. Again, people like to it's just like when someone gets caught with some weed in LA. People get caught with weed in LA, right? All of a sudden you start reading the article, and they'll always add in, might have been connected to the Mexican mafia. You know how many times I've known friends that have been around that world, and I'll end up seeing an article and knowing the story. I'm like, dude, it was the guy's brother. He stole it from his brother, and he got caught with it. What Mexican mafia? Like, people like to just pull something out, and the idiots out there, and I'm talking about almost everyone in terms of people. I'm not talking about just Laker fans, Maverick fans. I'm talking about the general public. They're so stupid and want to believe anything that they will go to the end of the earth to get that attention. And of course, they have the access to social media to say their stupid opinions that mean nothing. And you'll have this story that'll escape. It's been going on in a small little area. Every time somebody takes a leak, and Kike is walking on a street that says Seattle Road. Oh, does that mean he's going to the Mariners? No, you dumb, stupid idiot. The street says Seattle. He's just walking by it. But of course, one little spark and everyone believes, oh my God, Friedman, you got to sign Kike. Why are you not doing it? Oh my God, he walked by a sign that said Seattle. Like, the nonsense that comes out of idiots' brains, you got to tune it out. And at this point, I'm going to tune everything out, including myself, because I don't know anything anymore. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. The Lakers just got Luka Doncic for one draft pick. I know AD is a big piece, but guys, we're talking about a guy that's 6 years younger and is a legitimate alpha and will win multiple MVPs, barring any major injury. So I'm going to sit back from here on out, guys. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy it. I can't wait for next Saturday. It's going to suck to wait even this 5-6 days. Hopefully the Lakers can win the next few games without him. But, man, as soon as that guy gets into a Laker uniform, it's going to feel like when Paul Gasol came. I'm just going to be in euphoria the whole time. Go ahead, Gerald. Go ahead and give the details on the trade, and then I'll go ahead and go to Stone next.
You got it, my friend. Thank you, by the way, for hosting the show. Truly appreciate it. It is the Lakers Fast Break. To over the 100 people that are watching, if you please can like and subscribe. We truly want to get to where the big guys are at as far as the Lakers podcast, because we do have the best Lakers podcast that's out there right here at the Lakers Fast Break. We're here over 300 days a year. It would really help if you can help us out with the like and subscribe to really get that word out there that the Lakers Fast Break does take care of your Lakers needs. Let me go ahead and mention the trade right now. Spurs get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings get Zach LaVine, CD Cisco, also as well. 3 first-round picks, Joe. 2025 Charlotte.
That's super valuable.
That is interesting right there.
Is it protected?
I don't know. It's not been mentioned yet. I would hope it's protected, but if you were trading it, but I guess we haven't seen it yet whether it's not. 2027 San Antonio and a 2031 Minnesota. 3 second-round picks, which is 2025 Chicago's, 2028 Denver's, and 2028 own. They get their own back. The Kings do, and the Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back via San Antonio. So
that's valuable too. That's a first.
If that's I believe so.
But
they get it back. They trade it away. Yeah,
that's a real valuable asset there.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're taking a look and trying to assess that grade, this trade, and all that, but also of course talk about the big trade for us. Is of course right now. Bobby Marks has it up. I'll bring it up here on screen. To Sacramento, it is an unprotected San Antonio first on the 27 one Stone. The 2025 one is top 14 protected for Charlotte, which I think, again, we both know Charlotte is going to be well under that. So I don't know. That doesn't seem to be like.
I'm assuming that creates a swap.
It says it can, in the bottom line, he says it conveys into a second in.
Okay. I didn't see that. Okay.
26 and 27. Yeah, okay. That first. Okay, so basically it's going to be a second and 20. Yeah, it's going to be conveyed. So. All right.
I think Chicago's the winner of, outside of Fox, obviously. I think Chicago made out getting their own pick back.
Yeah. So there you go. There's the trade in a nutshell. Of course, a big story on that is De'Aaron Fox headed to San Antonio and Zach LaVine heading to Sacramento. So I guess Sacramento's punting on their season in many people's eyes. Joe, after that big surge that they had when they hired Doug Christie as their coach, it looks like they were falling a little bit in hard times in the past week or so. So it looks like that they now believe that they need to go ahead and go in a different direction. Although maybe there's something that they don't know that we don't know in regards to Zach LaVine, Joe. But I think this is a downgrade for them, and I think this is a turn for their future.
Well, it's sad because they sent out help.
Bonus available.
No way.
It's like 45 million.
Do the Lakers have enough to throw at them? Would they do that?
I mean, they could.
They would if they could do a 3-for-1.
Vincent Reeves gets you there.
This is more of a basketball trade, and now Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are reunited and feel so good. Who's going to get the ball in the fourth quarter when they start bickering amongst themselves? That'll be like old times in Chicago. The Spurs do not have to give up Stephen Castle, Dev, or Keldon Johnson. They could easily go on a run here, Gerald. So I wouldn't put it past them to try and be a little bit more ambitious than even a plan.
I'll put it up on the screen right now as far as the NBA trade machine and see if because they've already updated, guys. That's how good. That's how fast they are.
Because now you're going to play Fox and Castle together with Wemby.
Yes. Yep. So let me go ahead and I'll put it up on the screen a little bit, blow it up there for you a little bit. Sabonis is $40.5 million. I know you guys were asking. So let's just put Austin Reeves. You guys said Rui Hashimura, and then you put Gabe Vincent. That makes it right there. But you're probably going to have to make the pieces fit somehow because, again, the Lakers would be doing a 3-for-1 deal.
And you have no rim protector still.
Yeah. Again, that's I don't know. You get your rebounding situation is helped out quite a bit, but yeah, I would rather go and see if we could get again 2 bigs in a trade with that first and the players involved. And then
I'm sure the Knicks are still willing to deal Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, but that is quite that's as much as an injury concern I feel like as Robert Williams at this point.
Fair enough, but I mean, you were looking for better than what we were mentioning. Yeah. Healthy he is.
100%.
Yeah, but I can't argue with the fact that he's injured a lot. Yeah.
Those 3 players alone just get to Sabonis, by the way. So
okay, so let's talk shop here. Let's talk shop.
Let's.
What is the one rim protector that the Lakers could get, and the team that player plays on right now would work with the Lakers? The problem right now that I see right now too, because of the Laker, what did you call it? The Laker
exceptionalism.
Exceptionalism. There you go. Thank you very much, Sean. Because of Laker exceptionism, everybody seems to get yelled at. Look, Mark Cuban got death threats today, by the way.
Nico
He's
Harrison,
not even freaking running the operation.
Yeah,
he's not even with the team anymore. What are you
idiots?
He owns 27%. Yeah, he's a minority owner now.
I don't count minority owners as owners. They're just
I'm just saying
he's not involved in the day-to-day.
So
it's another investment for him. Like
what rim protector and someone who can get the ball and put it in the basket if Lucas and LeBron are getting them the ball. What realistic center big is available out there, and that team would work with LA?
For me, it's Claxton, I think.
For me, it's Orlando. With again, if you could get Goga and Jonathan Isaac in a bundle deal, you've got 2 bigs instead of 1. You've got block shots. You got rebounding. If you throw in Gary Harris, you know, hopefully he'll find a stroke there in LA. If you can maybe find a little bit, just about $1 million more, guys, you'll get Anthony Black, who's a young player on the come up.
I'd love Anthony Black. I just don't think he's
gettable. Offense for defense. It's offense for defense, Stone, because they're such a terrible offensive team, and they've gone into a spiral, and their guys are back now, but they're still going in that spiral. They're a bad offensive team. They need offensive players like Rui and Austin Reeves.
They need shooting. I think their offense with Paolo and Franz is doable, but they really need shooting.
40%.
What's that? I agree. Those 2 players would help them with shooting. I don't think Black is gettable, but I think those 2 centers are gettable for sure.
Yeah, you'd have to play cap gymnastics for that extra $1 million, Stone. But if you do Gary Harris instead of Black, the trade works out 3.
If he was at all willing to deal him, I mean at all.
It's offense for defense, Ivan. That would be why.
You go get Bam Adebayo.
That's my my dream scenario. And at one point, Luke.
What's up, Pat, buddy?
Yep. At one point, Luca was my dream scenario. So it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible anywhere. But
how do you start that call?
That's the difficult part. That's the difficult part.
We're not retiring anyone else's number right now. You're on the phone.
Nope.
Yes.
Your first mistake is calling Pat first. You call Bam and Bam's agent and say, "Are you interested in playing for the Lakers?" And
Exactly.
if he says yes, you say, "Force your request to trade to the Lakers and work a deal from there." Do not ask Pat first because he's gonna hang up on you immediately. But
no.
I think you call his agent.
And
And
this would be so good karma because of the whole Shaq incident.
What is happening?
Just to grease him. Oh, I'm getting excited just thinking about it, Joe.
Just don't. Can you do that when you're not around?
No. But yeah, I mean, if you could somehow
That's the ideal.
get Bam Adebayo, that guy that Stone was talking about who could slip in the cracks in the paint there.
How much is he willing to play in Miami post Jimmy on a non-title contending Miami team? That's the question the Lakers need to ask. I don't. Again, I think we're thinking of dream scenarios here. I don't think it's super likely. At one point, I thought Luca was impossible. For years on this podcast, I've been saying blow it up, and I remember at one point saying blow it up and sort of jokingly, like, tongue in cheek, unless you can get like Shea, Luca, or Giannis, and obviously at that point I thought it was a 0% chance. So I'm not saying
Stone.
Bam's impossible. It's
that
just
was
not
painful to listen to, and it was painful to hear Joe talk. Well, this shit again, and we got to deal with this bullshit for the next 2 years.
I didn't think it was possible. That's why I wanted to blow it up. But
exactly.
We don't need to now.
I heard the pain in that man's nodules too, and Gerald's emails. You know what? Only 6 people are showing up, and we're like 22 and 28. This was a couple years ago, but we were here with 6 people in the room. We're here with 130 people in the room, Gerald. Hopefully there'll be more, but I mean that's why I got really excited about this deal. Is it'll be great for Gerald and the Lakers fast break.
As Joe said,
very well said.
Like, let's talk shop here. What would it take to get Bam?
A lot.
You need Ree and Reeves, obviously.
Yes.
For the salary.
First. Yes.
And you only have one first. I don't think that's enough.
No, you'd have to acquire a couple first somehow, like Phoenix did. If Pelinka could pull off something like that where he acquires 1 or 2 first round picks and you dangle
3 bad first Magic, man. You looked at those 3 first round draft picks.
Yeah, but I know. Yeah, I know, Gerald. I know, but Brooklyn's looking at some not so good first round picks from Houston, even though they thought they swindled them. And we're gonna find out about the Clippers and OKC, Gerald, because the devil come due with that one. I mean, one of these years, that's gonna slip. And I think Sam Presti's going to find himself in the lottery one way or the other. By the way, I mean, and that's another one. That's another one. Like all these little backdoor deals too, Gerald, about, I get my first round pick back and you get your first round pick back. Riley has a first round pick coming due soon, Gerald, for the Thunder. From the Oladipo trade.
I do want to touch on LeBron and how much this affects LeBron or how much longer LeBron has. Do you think this changes anything? For me, I sort of always thought he wanted to play next year and the year after with Bryce. I don't think this really changes anything, but do you guys think this changes that timeline at all, or do you think he's on a different timeline than I do?
It depends on how
I
much
still
they
think he wants
compete.
to. Yeah,
and
I agree.
and we know what Bronny can't do. Stone, do we like Bryce is still very young. Do we know what Bryce is at this point?
Worse than Bronny. I know
worse than Bronny, yeah. So I think I don't think it changes. I honestly don't. And
I
I
don't give
think
a shit. I don't give a shit about Bronny or
and I don't
Bryce.
and I don't
We're
think
talking about championship 18 right now, not Bryce or fucking Bronny. I don't know what the hell. What happened here?
I'm asking how much longer does Braun play?
I think he plays.
Yeah, it has something to
here.
do with winning, not about his damn sons.
So
I
you
think
don't
maybe- Yeah.
you think this? Do you think this changes then because we have a longer window to win?
I
with
think the
Luka?
idea of him playing with Bryce is intriguing to him on a personal level. And I'm sorry, Joe hated that, but again, I had said originally in the short that, in the video that we put out for a long time, that this was going to happen as far as the Lakers drafting Bronny to appease LeBron. And it happened, despite what Joe said, despite what Joe was threatening, despite what Joe's, everything that he said and how much it did make sense, which I totally agree 100% with Joe on. It doesn't make sense. But you know what? The allure for him to play with both of his sons, Stone, maybe too.
But to Joe's point, he thinks
I know, and Joe hates every second of it.
He thinks it has more to do with winning. So my question is, now that Luka is our franchise cornerstone for hopefully the next 10 years, does this lengthen the window of time LeBron plays with the Lakers?
Yeah, I'll tell you 100% on this one. If Pelinka pulls another rabbit out of his hat by Thursday, yes. But there's still time for this offseason if they retool and add the right players and they win. He's not gonna. Let's say
and look, the cap's going up too, Joe. The cap is going up.
If they don't win it this year, it'll be understandable. But if they win next year, I don't see him. It would be nice for him to walk away as a champion, but I think somebody's gonna tug at him and say, "Hey, dude, you're one championship away from Michael Jordan. You might want to still play." And I think he'd still play if he's obviously still able to. There's a lot of ways this can go. But it's going to depend on the talent of the team, not about family stuff.
Another question in terms of the Lakers and prolonging who is here.
Actually, hold on, Stone. Let me ask you this question. And then I'll let you continue. Replace Kyrie Irving in the finals last year with LeBron James last year. Do the Mavericks win the title?
I think I have a better shot, but I wouldn't definitively say yes.
Okay, go ahead and do what you needed to do. I just wanted to know.
Yeah. Do you think this prolongs? I think it definitely prolongs Pelinka's stay here. Do you think this redeems Pelinka, or are you still very skeptical of Pelinka moving forward?
I'm not, Stone, because Gerald, I have something up here. If you can pull it up, please.
We don't want to pull anything up over there.
No. Shut up, Joe. Trying to make a point here.
Okay.
All right. Do you see what year I've used as an index? If you blow it up a little bit, Gerald.
26, 27. I can't.
Yes.
You're the only one that can blow it up.
Oh, okay. Well,
blow it up while you're in it.
Shut up. The Lakers have 79 million in cap space right now. 79 million.
Huh?
Okay.
That's in 2 years. That's in 2 years. 79 million. Now you extend you
extend connect.
Probably extend connect in that time. Okay, you gotta account for that. But Vanderbilt's contract is more valuable in a trade with that kind of cap space, Joe, because now instead of 79 million, you could potentially have 90 million in cap space if you traded him.
Well, again, to answer your
question, I don't think Pelinka is going anywhere. But as you as you said, those I'm not sure who said this, Stone or Gerald, but it was Gerald. The onus is on Pelinka now. Yes. You have huge cap space 2 years from now. You have Luca in the center of all this, and you need to build around him while also trying to not keep the cupboard bare. So that means not surrendering one of Reeves or Connect. this week. If one of them has to go, so be it. But you can't give up both of them.
I think Connect's more valuable now for
He
this
is.
team. For this team than he
He
was
is.
with AD.
I'm just going to say again, Stone, again, yes, Luca was dropped right in Rob's lap, but Rob did get the job done. Rob did get the trade done, and so you got to give him credit for that. Shut up, Joe.
Yeah,
I don't care.
You didn't
Your
get
opinion is
dropped.
not
You
the
didn't drop
almighty.
that.
Yes, he did.
Mhm.
Again, when the
No.
first report said Dallas approached
Hey, Joe,
LA
you have to give
with
Steve
this
Sabian
trade.
credit for all those giant World
Yes.
Series.
You're
even
going to have
though
to give Shams credit. I have seen how hard, personally, live, how hard.
It's no different than everyone saying, "Oh, if Belichick didn't have Tom Brady, he wouldn't have won those Super Bowls." Well, no shit. You have to have talent to win. And by the way, he drafted him in the 6th round, and he started him when he had just signed Drew Bledsoe before he almost got killed that year. He made the decision to play Tom Brady.
So you're saying
at some point you got to give credit where credit is due. You can't just say, "Oh,
I just
Luka's
said,
dropped on
listen,
his lap."
moron.
So-
Hello. I just said I got to give him credit. I told you I gave him credit for getting the job done when Luca was presented to him.
So
as a
Joe,
trade.
you're saying if the dead guy from
What?
Weekend at Bernie's, Bernie was in that seat,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
he
Who's
would
the
have
one that
made the
actually
trade.
drew?
I'll
Who's the
make
one actually drew the money? The people in the theater.
The way
Sean.
Weekend
The
at
dead guy
Bernie's
did.
is great. I don't care what anybody says.
I'll make this easier. Are you happy with Rob Pelinka being your general manager for the foreseeable future?
Not yet. Again, the onus is still on him.
You got
I
Luka,
think it's
dude.
still on him.
With Luka Doncic, it's a little more tolerable. I'll
Like
just
Joe
say
says,
that.
either now or in the not too distant future, the onus is now because the window is now back open for the Lakers as far as the championship window is, in my opinion.
Andre Miller played for Denver. He played for Denver
And he played for Utah, I think, at the end, right?
at
Played
the
for a
end.
few
Yes.
And didn't he play for
Yeah.
Minnesota at one
He
point?
got drafted.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he did. He
I
bounced
think he
around
played in
after his.
in the whole Pacific Northwest
And the
Portland-
Spurs.
Yeah, he bounced
Yeah.
around. That the latter
Yeah.
part of his career, he
Yeah,
bounced
he
around.
played in the
Yeah.
whole Pacific Northwest pretty much.
I thought that, yes, Eduardo. Yeah, I hear you, Eduardo. I agree. Go ahead, Stone. Sorry.
No, you're good. We've talked. Obviously everyone knows that the big need is center right now. We've talked about that at center and probably still a backup center. I think at this point, like that's probably big man is our number one priority. I still think it's important to touch on other aspects that this roster was built around LeBron and AD. Now it has to be built around Luca. LeBron is there. That's great, but I think this team is Luca's teams now. You have to build around Luca, and LeBron is not really a consideration when building around this team, in my opinion. I think we talked about what centers make sense. I think wings and forwards that are low usage that hopefully can defend are big. Ball handling is less of a necessity now because you have two massive usage ball handlers with LeBron and Luca. So I think you want a guy who can handle the ball, but is really can maybe be more of like a secondary creator, but really brings something defensively at the point of attack. Because with LeBron and Luca at the point of attack, you're going to be in some trouble. And I think you want a guy who is capable of handling the ball, but really is there for his defense and is really capable playing off ball as a shooter. So I think that's another not necessity to contend, but something that would really idealistically make this team Luca's and really help him be in an ideal situation. So apart from center, I think that's something that we really need to hopefully get, whether it's this summer or before free agency. I think that's sort of that third ball handler, but a guy who can really defend at the point of attack is sort of a priority, I would say outside of a center for this team.
Okay, so let me put a play in for you guys, and you guys tell me what you think. LeBron goes to the basket. LeBron is now controlling the ball. Luka's kicking it on the ends. How is a defense going to play off that? Because if you if you give Luka a wide open shot at the three, he's going to knock him down all day, right? Right.
Mhm.
So how is a team going to deal with? Oh crap! Here comes LeBron, the freight train, coming to the basket, and then if they collapse, I mean, they're going to probably draw everybody to Luka, right? And then there's going to be somebody open, dive into the basket. Is that the kind of offense we're going to be looking forward to here? Essentially, two guys that can either get to the basket at will or shoot. Like, it's almost kind of scary when you think about it.
I think
They do have their faults, Joe. I will say this. I just want to say, is arguing with the refs? Yes. Do they do that too much? Yes.
Will you answer the goddamn question? I don't give a shit about whether they have the refs.
Shut up, Joe. Shut up, Joe. Shut up. Let me finish my statement.
What does that have to do with the goddamn refs? I'm talking about when the ball is going to the basket or when someone's open.
Let me finish my statement, please.
I don't want to hear about them complaining about the refs. I don't give a shit about complaining about the refs.
Because you're going to be complaining about it.
Well, let me tell you
something. What you're
something.
going to be doing.
If they walk to the gym and then maybe if they don't walk all the way
Shut
an
up,
hour
Joe.
before the shooting round,
Shut up.
like, really? What the hell is this?
Shut up. Shut up. I'm just going to say this, Stone, and I'll bring it back to you. Shut up, Joe. Anyways, again, they do have their faults. People are going to be pissed off at them.
What does that have to do with my question?
Let me finish my statement, Joe. Shut up. Anyways, they are going to have their issues that people are going to go ahead and constantly bother the show about. They're constantly going to complain about. But the upside with having two of the greatest players still in this game is just too good to pass up, Stone. Shut up, Joe.
As great as LeBron still is and has been, I think LeBron is irrelevant when it comes to building this team for me. I think you have to build this team as it is Luka's. LeBron is there. He is a product of this roster. He is on this roster, but he is not the primary point of how you build this roster out. I think in a lot of ways, it's very similar to what you try and do with LeBron as your number one, right? Like you try to get shooters, defenders, low usage guys that can play alongside LeBron on the wing, rim runners as bigs. I think in a lot of ways you sort of want that same thing, but you're building it around Luka because he is your longer term play. He's the better player. And he is, even to a higher degree, more of a heliocentric offense than LeBron probably ever was. So you want to build around him, which means low usage guys who can affect the game without having the ball in their hands. And I think a lot of times that means going after guys who aren't necessarily the biggest star. Like I wouldn't have wanted Fox for this team. As good of a player as Fox is, I'm not really interested in sending assets away for him because he just doesn't make sense alongside a heliocentric offense if you're trying to win a championship. And I think that is the goal for the Lakers now is how can we find players that fit alongside Luka that most likely in a Venn diagram overlap with LeBron in a lot of ways, because if they fit with Luka, they'll probably fit with LeBron, but that are low usage and can still affect the game to a high level. How can I find guys that rebound, that impact the game by rebounding at a high level, impact the game by defending the point of attack at a high level, impact the game by protecting the rim at a high level, impact the game by switching at a high level. These are all, you can't just say defense because defense is so segmented into different things. You can't just say passing or ball handling because there's different aspects of that. But I think you want guys that fit, that play a role alongside Luka. And LeBron is there, and hopefully they mesh with LeBron. But the fact is there's a big Venn diagram on how they overlap in similar play styles that I think if they're going to fit with Luka, they're probably going to fit with LeBron. But you're building this team primarily out around Luka, in my opinion, because that's who is going to be here once LeBron retires, and that's who the better player is.
Gotta concur with my good friend there. A lot of people. We're good, right? You can hear me?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay.
Nick just came in, but go ahead.
So dribbling is more about footwork than it is about the hands. The hands are just an illusion when it comes to dribbling. It's more about your fundamentals and your footwork. Eye to hand ratio is an illusion. It's an optical illusion when it comes to dribbling. So in saying in using that as an example, you can't stifle Luka's creativity. You got to put the ball in his hands and let him go to work. Even LeBron understands this. So LeBron's been averaging the fourth highest assists per game in the NBA this year. He's going to have to play a lot more off ball. And that means he's going to still probably be averaging around 9 assists per game because that's the effectiveness that Luka has. I mean, Joe, you talked about the freight train coming down. When Luka gets into the paint, he's mastered Carmelo's drop the left shoulder right into your chest, and I'm going downhill, and there's nothing you could do. And he usually is getting the and ones. So, I mean, that's another plus offensively. I mean, well, the last couple of years, his efficiency kind of diminished at getting the line. AD was still effective at getting, anywhere from between, 8 to 16 free throws. Luka's the same way. Luka could get 40. Luka could get 40 points and go to the line about 25 times and maybe shoot the ball 8 times. We've seen him do that. We've seen him get 40 points on 20 free throws. We've seen him get 45 on 10 threes. I mean, this is just a virtuoso. And even LeBron understands this. So I think LeBron's willing to not kind of anticipate what Luka's going to do. Because Luka, if you listen to him after games, even sometimes he doesn't know what he's going to do with the ball. He doesn't know whether he's going to dish it or whether he's going to take the shot himself. So I think that you always have to live. See, this is what I'm talking about. Just as the dribbling as an example, the steak and sizzle. The sizzle is the hands, but the steak is the footwork and your fundamentals. And that's where far and above is why you consider him a Mozart on the court, because his fundamentals are better than everybody else's.
Yeah, and Sean, just a quick point off of what you just said, and this is pretty self-evident. I think maybe you or the panel has already touched on this, but I'm not sure if we've emphasized enough how well Luka's game should age, like in 5-10 years. This isn't a player that relies on, dynamic athleticism. It's not like we traded for like a Derrick Rose type or a John Morant. And, just thinking back, Sean, I think you were even saying a few weeks back that you would only like give up 1 first-round pick for a player like Zion. And we ended up getting someone like Luka for that same currency, and it just doesn't make any sense. So I'd just say that. Actually, I had a question for you, Sean, actually the panel, but I know there's like an encyclopedia of knowledge here on stage. We know that this is the most unusual, shocking trade in the NBA, but is it the most shocking, unusual trade in all of sports history?
No.
Why? Which
What would
one?
be that trade?
It would be the Wayne Gretzky trade, Nick. He won the Edmonton Oilers 5 Stanley Cups, Nick.
Yeah, but this lopsided. Educate us, Sean, for those of us that don't know hockey that much.
Don't you think they moved Gretzky out of Edmonton to help the NHL expand? That's why they wanted him to go to LA?
They couldn't afford Wayne Gretzky. That's why they had to trade him. That's the bottom line. Anyway.
Doesn't that make this more shocking, though? Because the Mavericks could afford him, and they still decided to trade him in the prime of his career.
No, because...
the thing is, let me just add this on top of that. It's 2025 in the era of leaks, social media, all this stuff usually gets out. This was kept under wraps the entire time, and no one had a clue this was going on, Sean.
And it's the biggest franchise in all of sports, probably. Like the Lakers are probably the most world-known franchise in any sport ever.
This
So
one likely has the bigger aftershock for sure.
yeah,
Because I was listening to Nico Harrison today, and I was still trying to make sense of it, of what he was saying. Defense wins championships. Anyone see the Cavs game tonight? Yeah, giving up 50 points in the first quarter.
I think like 8 of their players were sitting too. I don't think they wanted to even play. Lively and Gafford and Washington were all out, and I think Kyrie was out. It was
Well, imagine that too, because that's the other end of this. Like you go to the arena most nights thinking, got a pretty good chance to win, Stone. Got Luka Doncic as our leader, get Kyrie Irving as Robin, and we play pretty well with Luka. Like, and now all of a sudden you go to and it's I don't know, I don't because you really don't at this point. I mean, at this point, would you pencil in Dallas as a playing team, or are we? Because San Antonio straight now might.
Dallas is still a good team to me. Like I don't think
The talent's there.
they're a
Yes.
bad team. Like they're not a contender by any means. But I think they could get to like the second round. Like I think we're talking about like a similar level to where the Lakers were. We were thinking like best case scenario for the Lakers. I think that's sort of where the Mavericks fall at this point. Like they're not contending for a championship, but I think they're still a decent team, and they're younger like than the Lakers. Their two best players are younger than LeBron, right? So and they have some pieces. You have Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington. Like there's still ancillary pieces there. I don't think they traded away the most probably the most valuable asset in all of the NBA. So you're not going to by any means win or come close. You're always going to be a loser in that scenario. But the Mavericks fans have all right to be completely mad, pissed off, disparaged because of that. But they're not in a Brooklyn Nets scenario of DEFCON 5 type roster, right? Like
Well,
they
and
have more pieces
yeah.
they can still move.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree. I'm just I always got the feeling, and Stone, we talked to a pod that's associated with the Mavs. I always felt that there was always this disconnect between the type of team that Harrison wanted and the type of team that Kidd wanted, and for this trade to consummate the way it did tells me that Nico Harrison also doesn't trust Jason Kidd, because if you were working on a deal this monumental and this earth shattering, you would let your head coach in on maybe a hint. I've been but no, because as soon as you spilled the beans to him, he would have done everything in his power to sabotage this.
Is this a master class? There's two ways to look at this, I think. Is this a master class in completely imploding your team by alienating everyone, your franchise star player, your head coach, other assistant GMs, maybe your owners, I don't even know at this point. Is this a complete master class in just absolutely sabotaging your franchise by alienating everyone and keeping them in the dark in the biggest move in your franchise's history, or is this how you properly disseminate a trade to keep it under wraps when it's this high a caliber? Like for the Lakers, if we are to I'm skeptical on this, but if we are to truly buy that LeBron was not communicated with before this trade, is this the right move for this team to do, to completely put it in the dark and say and not come to LeBron and be like, put him in this position of picking between AD and Luca? And is it the right move to not tell your JJ or whoever, like you're gonna have to drastically change your game plan on night to night basis because we're taking out our big to make this work? Or is this something you owe those players and owe those people who have built that franchise? And I think it's a different answer for each organization that's involved in this trade.
Yeah, and Stone, yeah, and I think it's a different answer for each of the individuals in that scenario. I do think, well, Nico Harrison did mention that he did get approval from ownership before this trade actually got official. But for example, letting LeBron know beforehand whether or not he was on board with this Luca trade, it's almost like, to your earlier point, Stone, like I don't think LeBron should have a say there because that wouldn't have been his decision. It's Luca's team, and if the Lakers had that opportunity, they should have seized it, and they did. And now moving forward, building around this team, it is centered around Luca, and whether or not LeBron agrees that X, Y, and Z player is going to come on board. I mean, it doesn't matter what LeBron thinks at this point, and I think that is going to be and should be a wake up call to him, and it is sort of I wouldn't say an FU to LeBron, but it is a diminishment of his power and influence on the organization. I think that's welcomed by me and probably from everybody else on the panel.
100% agree. And a GM should be able to run the team as the GM sees fit. That's what the owner pays them to do. I wonder, and not that I'm saying this is a bad thing necessarily, does this create some sort of divide moving forward? Little things here and there that sort of pent up and make LeBron frustrated, not to the point he asks out, because I don't really see him doing that at this point in his career. Maybe it pushes him to retire sooner. Maybe, that maybe LeBron isn't as on board with this as everyone. We got the better player. We are in a much better place now. LeBron might be mad that he didn't have that say in it, because from experience and talking to people in the league, every star player is like down to two-way contracts. A lot of times they are taught, they have GMs and ownership and coaches have talks with their star player about whether they approve this transaction or not. And as stupid as it is, I disagree with it. That is how almost every single NBA team is run. Almost every transaction is ran through the superstars' approval first. The fact that they didn't do that with a trade of this caliber with LeBron makes me question whether LeBron is more movable, even right now, than we thought prior. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying it's another layer to this entire, discussion that could be brought up.
Yeah, and Stone, actually, to that point, and maybe again, you've probably hit on this earlier in the show, but hypothetically speaking, if LeBron doesn't have that no trade clause right now, is he sweating a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, I think it's reasonable to assume that if he didn't have that no trade clause, the Lakers would be listening to offers right now for LeBron. I think LeBron has probably made it clear that he's not going to waive it because he's near the end of his career. He has his kid there. He makes lots of money. His whole family's established there. He's at the twilight of his career. He's probably not going to want to move across the country to somewhere else. So I would assume that they probably would be taking calls on LeBron, but I don't think he'd be open to it with that no trade clause now. Unless this is creating a bigger riff than we realize, because we're all in the dark right now. We don't communicate with people in the Lakers organization on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
maybe this is a bigger riff than we realize.
yeah, and just to like highlight why a reason against Stone, you probably mentioned this, but I know you said that Luca is possibly or is the most valuable asset in the NBA. Well, if you just take a step back and think about it, right, that the other players that are on the same like plane or stratosphere, like Jokic, Giannis, or Shea, those other three players are actually older than Luca.
Yeah, he's Luca's my age, which is crazy to say, but he's still so young, and he ruled. This is Luca's organization now. I think the Lakers made it clear with this move by not telling LeBron that this is now Luca's organization. You are no longer our king, to put it into simple terms. This is not LeBron's kingdom anymore. I think LeBron probably knew. It would just absolutely shock me that they didn't discuss this beforehand with a player of his caliber. But maybe we see it all the time with players. They stick up for their teammates irrationally to the point where LeBron might have said, I don't want to trade you. That's my guy. That's my best friend, whatever. And maybe LeBron would have said no to this trade. So they said, we're not even going to ask you. We're just going to do it. Maybe that is the case. I don't know what happened there. But what I do know is I think we're in a much better place than we were 24 hours ago.
Watch him. He's going to hire Bob Vulgaris within the next week and sit him courtside every time the Lakers play the Clippers.
The Lakers started hearing. The Lakers started hearing the noise a little bit. At some point, they had to make a call to get out of whatever this was that they were in. It wasn't working, and they had to bust out of it. I'm not putting it in the same realm as her realizing that her brother couldn't run the Lakers and had to blow that up and get new management and get new hires and all that. But the Lakers, they are running the Lakers. You never, ever let anyone else run it. And the stuff that was going around in town, the Dodgers getting all the pub, that stuff played a factor in this, guys. It did, because this is supposed to be, or the Lakers, LA is a Laker town. As popular as the Dodgers are.
It is again.
And it is again now. You have Luka Doncic. I don't know if you'd say he's the equivalent of Ohtani. Probably not. Ohtani's a little more global, but so is Luka.
I think you could say that. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
Luka,
less of a Dodger fan than you are.
But I don't know how you can describe Ohtani
if he
as
wins,
more global than
there's no
Luka.
doubt, because winning as a Laker puts you in a whole different category. That stuff in the rafters. You could set up an all-time team just with those guys in the rafters. And Luka now is gonna probably be up there, barring any major injury. It's nuts. It's nuts what Jeannie and Rob did. It's nuts. And at this point, we have to understand that this is never going to change, folks. The Lakers are always going to come up on top, and they're always going to get
cream always rises.
The cream always rises to the top.
Yo, Sean and Joe, and Stone and Gerald. The thing is, though, the special thing about this moment, and I do think that the Lakers, will continue to get stars, and they always find a way to reinvent themselves. But the way that this happened, and the moment in time, the moment in his career that we're getting Luka,
it's the mind fuck trade.
Yeah, it's once in a lifetime. I think
it's a mind fuck trade.
This really is 1 in 10 million lottery odds that something like this would happen for the Lakers. That's why I always said blow it up, because if I knew this was a possibility, I would have said this every podcast. But it just never felt like a possibility. Something that. Maybe I'm just not seeing it because there's so much stuff out there right now and commentary on this. But if the Mavericks' end goal was to really try and go for it and win by trading Luka and retaining the most win now roster that they could, it seems really odd to me that they would trade Luka to another Western Conference team. Like if that's their end priority, why would you send maybe the best player in the league or a top 3 player to the same conference that you're in?
Yeah. So Stone, it's almost
why wouldn't you trade in the Bucks for Giannis?
Yeah. So Sean, it's almost like I almost feel like we all owe Laker Tom an apology, because
no, we do not. We do not owe Laker Tom an apology,
because this trade is very Laker Tom-ish,
This might be the worst thing that could have happened to us with Laker Tom. We might be getting LeBron for Shea as the next.
He's asking for Lonzo Ball. He's asking for Lonzo Ball and Bruce Brown next, Stone.
Well, we lose those trades. That's not even good for the Lakers. But I
that's
think
Laker Tom.
Yeah, I think the the big thing here is we have to view this through the lens of what can the Lakers do for Luca within that the Mavericks couldn't, right? Like the Mavericks had tried over and over again to put this roster around Luca that could really. They got to the finals, but like I said, that to me was Luca willing them and dragging that roster to the finals rather than him having a sufficient supporting cast that got him there. And I think the Lakers have a 7-year sample size now to look at what the Mavericks did/didn't do and learn from that and be like, this didn't work, and these are the roster. If I were the Lakers and in their front office, I would line up each roster Luca had for the last 7 years, look at each player they had, and be like, how do we improve on this? What worked with this roster, and what prevented Luca from winning the finals with this roster? And that would be the thing I would do before looking at names at the trade deadline would be what names did Luca previously have and what names worked with him and didn't work with him. He loves Dorian Finney-Smith. Obviously, there's going to rekindle that relationship there. I would be stunned if Dorian Finney-Smith got moved in the next year or two. I think he's probably going to stay with Luca now, but you have to look at because you now have someone that failed to do what they needed to with Luca, and you have a sample size to learn from. I think the Lakers can't take that for granted.
Kind of a
All right.
kind of a comparison to Shaq's career a little bit. Not all the way, but Shaq had a good team, and
You need to build a team that was similar to what James Harden had his last couple years in Houston, that accentuated his ability as a heliocentric guard. Slightly different player. I mean, same beast, just a different animal here. But Stone, if you look at when the Mavs won, 55 plus games, it was usually when you had a lob threat down low or up high, depending on how he wanted to run it. You also had at least 2 3-and-D guys, like legitimately 3-and-D. They could defend and they could shoot. So I think you need at least a minimum of 2. I would prefer, you would prefer 3, right? Like if you could have 3 plus him, and then you have the lob threat. I think that would be the best. I'm just, we're just kind of spitballing here, but that's what I would try and center my universe around is 3-and-D and a definitive lob threat every time we go down the floor.
What made the Mavericks get from not, what was it, second round to the finals? What got them there? Well, they made a trade for they signed Derek Jones Jr. They made a trade for Gafford. They made a trade for PJ. Athleticism and shooting is how you build around these heliocentric players. And this, because these guys are low usage, they can affect the game as lob threats, as cutters, as shooters, as defenders. And that is the formula to winning with a player like this. That's how you win in an era like this, and with a player as ball dominant as Luca is. Another thing, someone threw it in the chat, Natalia, I think, I think the Lakers did that in retrospect, right? Did that DFS trade because of Luca. Obviously, I think it's well documented that they're best friends off the court. It makes a lot of sense as to why they did that. I think that further points towards Luca wanting to be in LA. Another thing that, in retrospect, is interesting to me is Cuban selling the Mavericks when he did. Was that part of the reason as to why Cuban loved Luca? Is this a part of the reason Cuban saw, in due time, Luca's not going to be a Maverick, and sort of fell out of love of being an owner with the Mavericks because he lost this generational player. I can't say for sure, but like that's just another interesting wrinkle to this whole thing, in my opinion.
Because he can always save face here and say that he would have paid him the supermax. He can always say that now. He probably would have. I mean, he probably would have. But that's really interesting, Stone. That's a matzo ball to chew on.
There's so much with this deal. So many aspects and
tentacles.
layers.
There's tentacles to it.
It's the Pandora's box of trades. It's I love thinking about all these different aspects.
Yeah, because Stone, we never. I mean, again, I don't follow the Mavs closely. I'm not a Mavs fan, but like, I never heard like some rumbling that Luca was a malcontent there or it was an issue. Obviously, the conditioning thing has been brought up, but as far as like Luca forcing out or wanting a trade or wanting a trade specifically to the Lakers, obviously this is in stark contrast to what went down with the Anthony Davis trade to LA. But again, that's just another aspect that you just didn't see this discontent coming from Luca or from the Mavs organization dealing with Luca.
Yeah,
it's maybe there'll be a 30 for 30 of this trade. It's shocking. I'm trying to think the most shocking trade. I don't think I could remember
the Paul George Kawhi duo like trade and signing right after to the Clippers was pretty shocking. That kind of came out of nowhere, but neither of them were ever at the level that Luca is as a player.
Joe, I wasn't around for this. Well, I was around, but I wasn't like actually like aware. But like with the Shaq trade, was that shocking or no?
The Shaq was acquired in free agency, and at the time, the internet was still somewhat new, and we were following it as best we could. At least I was, and then I remember you're not really watching SportsCenter and seeing stuff that we know now. So there was word that Shaq was looking around. We knew that the Lakers were interested. We knew that Orlando might or might not, depending on some article in Orlando Sentinel, blah, blah, blah. And we were very excited about what was going on. But I did know that something was brewing that could go the Lakers' way because they traded Anthony Keeler. They traded George Lynch. They were preparing space to get Shaq. At that time, we didn't know who the hell Kobe Bryant was. There was word that Kobe was somebody that they might get, but not, again, it wasn't big news because they needed to trade Vlade somewhere. And then I remember the day like it was yesterday, I was taking a nap on the couch, and all of a sudden my dad wakes me up and says, "We got him." And that was it. That was the extent of the excitement of the Shaq thing. It was nothing close to anything how we deal with stuff now. It wasn't necessarily a shock, just excitement. The Pau Gasol trade was a shock and really exciting. This trade, I would say, mirrors the Pau Gasol trade in a different way, though. What it did was it resurrected a dead team. This team was dead because we had to wait for LeBron to leave to really do anything. Now they don't have to wait for anything. Now, if LeBron wants to leave, he wants to stay, the benefits of him leaving are there that we would have money to go get somebody else. If he stays, that means the Lakers are winning. So we win either way. And I don't care if LeBron plays for 5 years. If you sat here and said, "Joe, LeBron wants to play another 5 years," cool. Well, we're going to win at least a couple more championships. Hell yeah, let's do it. I'm not going to say no. I think LeBron and Luca are going to. Dude, there's documentation that LeBron would have loved to play with Luca. Now he's going to get a chance to play with him, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and Joe, I mean, LeBron like lost a lot of leverage because let's assume he wants to play beyond next year, right? like the Lakers could say, hey, you know what, we'll pay you 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so this is and thank you, Dick, for setting this up for me. Now, the whole narrative of the Rob Pelinka, should he stay, should he go, doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore because what they showed yesterday was that they said, regardless of the Luka thing, just forget about that for just a split second. What they said beyond that last night was, we run this mother. That's all I wanted. I want the Lakers to be the Lakers.
Just throw your purple and gold dick on the table
when
you're negotiating a trade.
This is not run by clutch. This is not run by a singular player. Yes, the Lakers take care of their stars. Yes, they cater to their stars. Absolutely. You're supposed to do that. You cater to your best employees. You cater to your best family members that actually are productive, right?
To a degree.
Well, again, if your spouse is someone who works, the kids love, she always takes care of the food and all that, you're going to cater to that by saying, hey, I'll take care of this stuff for you as well because you take care of so much. That's what I mean. But you cannot let anyone, especially the Lakers, for God's sakes, you cannot let anyone, doesn't matter if it's LeBron James, anyone, dictate what you need to do to win. And last night, Rob and Jeannie, whether it fell from the sky or whether it got catapulted from somewhere else, it doesn't matter. They came through, and now they have set the Lakers up, barring any major injury, for the next decade with, in my opinion, the most electrifying player in the NBA.
Man, and
semi breaking.
If you smell,
semi breaking news.
Can I just say one?
Oh.
Okay, can I just say one thing, Stone? Sean, if you pull that part of your anatomy out and it's purple, doesn't that mean something's wrong?
Yes. I was
Shouldn't
just
you go like to the hospital or something?
I was just in the moment, Gerald.
If you look down at it's purple, that's something that's wrong there. I don't know. Just
yes,
take it. Go ahead, Stone.
yes, and if after taking a certain medication
and gold,
yes, gold is not good. Gold is not good either.
you be going like that.
Jimmy Butler has told the Warriors, this is reported by Brian Windhorst, he's told the Warriors he's not interested in going there and not to communicate with him anymore.
wants to go to San Francisco.
What a turn this career has had.
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna go there.
No, he legitimately could have been thought of as one of the most well-rounded, good guy, but he didn't want to go this route. He decides we're going to play the prima donna.
Yeah.
Well, let me Stone. If he tries to pull the same stunt in Minnesota, I guarantee you, Pat Riley will come down with a fury.
They're trying to get rid of him. Nobody just wants to take him.
I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
I think I would pull a Bill Russell and pull him in the office and say, I'm trying to trade you, but nobody wants you. Nobody.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, you and your agent can sit down. We'll call all other 29 GMs, and you can hear no 29 times. Yeah.
He wants to be a son, and if he doesn't get his way, he's telling everyone, don't trade for me unless I'm a son. But real quick, I think the Lakers, I love that. I have no complaints whatsoever, but it would have been absolutely icing on the cake had they been able to add Reeves to this deal and bring back Gafford and just solve that problem like that, right? And get your 5. I'm not going to complain at all, obviously. The fact that Gafford wasn't traded and the fact that Kessler wasn't traded when both their teams were involved in this deal tells me we're not getting either of those players because they would have just done it in the same transaction. But now this Fox deal is interesting in the respect that who is the point guard of the Kings? and what player do the Lakers have excess of at this point with Reeves now? Not to say that there's a perfect hand and glove fit with a player that the Kings have, but the Kings now have are shorthanded when it comes to guard, and the Lakers are shorthanded when it comes to center.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I'm thinking, guys. I'm not saying it won't happen. Those days are gone. I don't think the Kings are going to help the Lakers here. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I think
You'd essentially be relegating Malik Monk as your point guard.
Those 3 first-round picks, to me, are indicative of this team wanting to rebuild rather than retool. And the Lakers only have 1.
This is going to be a long 6 days, man. I can't wait to see Luka 77.
I'm not going to believe it until he's in uniform playing.
It's really
David Stone. We put up a meme yesterday. David Stern can't hurt us anymore, man.
It's so messed up. I don't even want to say it. But one of my friends texted me, "I've never been happier that Stern is dead."
I saw a calculation. I saw a calculation. 77 plus 22 is 100.
You son of a bitch!
You're heartless. That man was a saint. Bernard.
That man was a saint. Bernard.
Yes.
Did you have that lined up? Honestly,
seriously. Is it safe to say that the United States needs to make February 1st Laker Day?
well,
I mean, I'm not exaggerating here.
Day, right? Peanut Butter Day.
February
Day.
1 is Laker Day. Just make it a Laker Day. Make it the LA Laker Day.
Vote in your elections.
We'll make it the Laker Day. It's unofficial, but we'll make it the Laker Day.
We're gonna have specials. I think
Streamer. We'll have streamers and hats every February 1st.
I think this calls for Joe to get a Luca Laker tattoo.
Yes.
Right on his neck.
Yes.
It's too permanent, guys. What I haven't done in years is wear another man's jersey.
You're one of those.
Well, that got planted by my mentor in this industry, the broadcasting industry. One day we were talking about jerseys, and he looked at us while we were talking. He's like, I was talking about I was going to get my wife a Ben Roethlisberger jersey, and he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, you're going to let your wife wear another man's jersey?" And I look back and I'm like, "Fuck." I was like, "That's a good point."
It's not a good point.
And then I go, and I've never worn my jersey. I have jerseys too, by the way. I haven't worn them since.
Stone, give us
the jerseys.
Stone, give us the counter argument to that.
Yeah, give me
no. Oh, I will. Stone, allow me.
Yes,
There's only one real jersey rule. You can't wear a jersey where the player is younger than you. That's the only rule. Any other jersey goes.
I actually disagree with that too. Because I think I might be older than Luca by a month.
You're awesome.
And I'm absolutely getting a Luca Laker jersey.
Well, so am I. I'm just waiting for the email that they send out when they're available.
If anyone watching lives near the El Segundo team shop and is already planning on waiting in line for themselves to get a Lakers Luca jersey, let me know, and I will pay you double whatever the jersey costs for you to pick me one up.
Don't do that.
Don't worry about it.
You're awesome.
Don't do that, Stone.
I need it.
Thank you, Raphael, for gifting out 5 memberships. Truly appreciate it. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly
You're
appreciate it.
awesome.
Also, like and subscribe while you're here. Be like
I
we've
do
seen
have
over
the
course of
most.
past
I
3
do
hours.
have a diabolical laugh. I do know that.
Thank you,
You're
Raphael.
awesome.
Really appreciate it.
It's very Batman villain like. Yes.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
It's not that special.
But
It puts it lotion on
do
its
you want to
skin.
shut it down for now, or
What?
I think I've made all my
I'm going to come
points I
back
wanted
later.
to.
Oh, you're gonna come back later? Okay.
I
I'm gonna come back
I
later.
wouldn't hurt you, Joe.
Yeah.
Just cut your face.
Well,
I need
again,
to come back
folks,
later and do a clean hour of
Good.
just
Good,
straight
good.
hour
All right,
for
folks.
stations.
Again, we want to thank everybody, new and old, on here. Even the deadheads that have shown up with their stupid fantasies of knowing what's going on in the NBA. Stone, I don't know if you can. You're probably not going to come back on the hour one. So thanks for being here. We want you here more now, and I think we're going to get you more because now your boy's here.
He is here.
And I'll try to get you your jersey.
I
Without
just
having
want to
you
mention
pay
we just ran a poll. Do we think that Luca's going to win a championship as a Laker? 86% says yes. 14% said no.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
That's
What's
gonna
the
happen.
hell yes button?
History says. Here's the hell yes button here. Yes, absolutely. He's going
Joe,
to win.
Joe, the only question is how many, right?
10.
If you want to,
10 to 12.
is it safe? Look, Luca doesn't need a lot of athleticism to do what he does. So that means his career is going to last much longer than you think. As far as his fitness is concerned, I remember when the trade was going down, even back then for CP3, there was a lot of talk about his knee giving out soon. Well, folks, that was 2011 and it's 2025 and Chris Paul's still playing. Yes, I know he's out of his prime, but the guy's still playing 15 seasons later. So I would not worry about Luka's fitness. I believe LeBron will probably chaperone him on that and get him right. And of course, playing in LA, I think will get him motivated to doing what he needs to do. He's got something to prove now, and he's going to get a chance to prove this every year for at least 4 games, possibly 4 to 7 games, should they meet Dallas in the playoffs. And I think that's going to make him very, very, very motivated. And with that, Stone Hansen, Magic Man, Nick Molina. I can't remember the last time Nick Molina was with us for 3 straight hours. Thank you, Nick, for being here. We love when you're here. And then, of course, Gerald Glassford doing the news updates. Again, thank you for subscribing. There's been a few that subscribed here tonight. And obviously, we love our regulars here. There will be a show later tonight. I don't know if I'll be there. I'll try. But until next time, we'll see you next time.
Anyone ever tell you you're about as useful as a condom with a bunch of holes in it?
No.
Somebody just did.
Even if it is purple and gold, Sean?
Even if it's purple and gold.